Okay. Calling to order the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Raritan Township, New Jersey, regular meeting, July 17, 2025. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied by the placing of a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board at the municipal building, filing same with the township clerk, transmitting same to the Hunterdon County Democrat, the Courier News, the Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Chair, Mr. Russell Domji.
Here.
Mr. Steve Farcio, asked to be excused. Mr. Randy Block.
Here.
Mr. Jim Ferrero.
Here.
Ms. Lindsay Cool-Brengel, asked to be excused. Ms. Lorette Cortina.
Here.
Ms. Donna Drews. Here. Mr. James Miller.
Here.
Board Professionals, Board Attorney, Mr. John Drill.
Here.
Township Planner, Mr. Jeffrey Vaccarella.
Here.
On behalf of Board Engineer, Mr. Rakesh Darshi, we have Mr. Ryan McCarthy.
Here.
Traffic Consultant, Mr. Jay Troutman.
Here.
Board Planner, Ms. Jessica Caldwell. Here. And Acting Township Landscape Architect. Good, sir, you got to say your name. All right.
Can you spell
And
that
there
for
we
us
go.
again? We asked. Yeah, really. Okay.
Okay, can I get a motion to excuse Mr. Farcio and Ms. Cool-Brengel? I'll second. Roll call.
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Vice Chair, Mr. Russell Domji.
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block.
Yes.
Mr. Jim Ferrero.
Yeah.
Ms. Lorette Cortina.
Yes.
Ms. Donna Drews.
Yes.
Mr. James Miller.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to comments or announcements. I do have comments that I just want to let the board know. So you remember where we were going to reevaluate our annual report? And we had a meeting, Lorette, Donna, Jeff, and myself. And we talked about how we can enhance it. And so Lorette did a great job and has provided that to me. And then Donna has done the same. And I believe, Jeff, you said you emailed something today.
I know the chart, yeah.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do is distribute it to all the board members for ask them to review and give us your feedback, and then we'll put the whole report together and we should be done with it. Okay? Distribution correspondence, none, and meeting minutes, none. We have one resolution for this evening. Okay, Raritan Township Board of Adjustment, Jeff Wadsworth, 42 Rake Road, Block 20, Lot 12.01, application BOA-06-2025, resolution memorializing grant of the C2 variance to allow 3,763 square feet of an accessory structure where a total of 800 square feet of an accessory structure is the maximum permitted. Resolution number 2025-11, version 2025-07-08- version 2. Any concerns, condition, or updates? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So who moved?
Who moved?
All right, we'll give it to Lorette. Nope, we're giving it to Lorette.
Lorette, okay.
Second it.
Thank you, Randy. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Vice Chair, Mr. Russell Domji.
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block.
Yes.
Mr. Jim Ferrero.
Yes.
Ms. Lorette Cortina.
Yes.
Mr. James Miller.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just so the board knows, I sent out the second draft of the Kyoko Realty resolution this afternoon, just to the applicant's attorney, Kara, and to Taylor, just to keep her in the loop, and to the board professionals to review. I've asked them to get back to me by next Friday, not tomorrow, next Friday, with any revisions. And then on Monday, we'll get a third and final draft out to the board for adoption for the August 7th meeting.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on for the applications for this evening.
Just giving you a warning, it's long and detailed. Yeah.
BOA case number 02-2023, applicant is Flemington Family Partnership LLC. Location is block 72.23, lots 31 and 31.01, 324 and 328 Highway 202. Applications for preliminary and final site plan with D variance and bulk variance for proposed car dealership. Good evening.
Schaefer, Chair Schaefer, Kara Kaczynski on behalf of the applicant, Galiaros Kaczynski and Lime, here tonight representing the applicant Flemington Family Partnership LLC. We started out today with a couple little deviations. Our traffic engineer is stuck in South Carolina, and our representative from the applicant has had a personal issue, so he won't be here tonight. But we certainly wanted to continue to present this to you. I drove up from the shore for vacation, so we're here moving forward as best we can, and we hope that at the end of this, you're going to believe that we covered every single one of your issues, and hopefully, if we can get through all of our testimony, bring this matter to a vote tonight. As a quick
So
recap.
hold up one second. I just want to make sure you get a microphone. So I know you have a court reporter here, but I want to make sure we get this on a recording also. No, you're doing a good job. We can hear you. I just want to.
Okay, so as a quick recap, as Chair Schaefer just indicated, we are here this evening looking to relocate our existing Toyota and Nissan dealerships. We've been here for a while. We had our first meeting in November of 2023, believe it or not. We had a couple hearings, some of which were adjourned in 24. We were here February of this year and most recently in April of this year. At the end of our April hearing, we went back with, again, some changes, some comments, and some work to do. And we
Just a quick, November of 2020, I thought the first hearing was February 6, 2024.
That was the first hearing.
I mean, February 6, 2025. There was, and then the second one was April 3, 2025. We didn't have any hearing in 2024, did we?
Nope.
Well, there were, whatever.
Okay. I asked my-
My indicated that we did. We've
Well-
had more than
Well,
two.
there were issues with completeness, if we want to put that on the record, but
See, I
that
always
didn't-
say too much. We're here. We're ready to go.
Right.
Record will
I just wanted to make sure the
reflect that we're
record's
here.
clear. This is the third hearing session. First being in
Correct.
February, second being in April. Now we're in July and the third hearing session.
So we went with some work to do, and we've come back to you with revised site plans that are before you tonight. We also have some exhibits that we've prepared that have also been submitted to you electronically. I have hard copies for all of you. And again, we're hopeful that these will address all of the concerns that you had at the last hearing. For purposes of the record, the latest set of plans are the preliminary and final major site plan, originally dated November 1, 2022, and revised through May 30, 2025. The other set of plans you have are the full sets of architecturals that somehow didn't make it to you guys originally. They have been redated as of May 5, 2025, and they depict the elevations and the signage, and our architectural expert will go through each sheet for you and be able to answer any questions. We also submitted a revised traffic report.
Okay, just a quickie. I thought the architecturals are last dated May 30th, 2025, not May 5th, 2025.
Look at 'em. 30th. And
files over there, you gotta check.
we also,
That's correct. May 30th?
May 30th.
Okay.
That's what I just said. We also submitted a revised traffic report that you have before you, and again, exhibits that will provide you with hard copies at the appropriate time. Our plan tonight is to present information with regard to the submissions, but I'd like to put on the record ahead of time that we agree to pretty much every single comment that is outlined in the most recent reports from your board professionals. Those reports are the board planner's latest letter of July 11th, the township planner's latest letter of July 12th, the board engineer and landscape architect's letter of July 15th, and the traffic engineer's letter of July 11th. So with the exception of the specific items that we will discuss during testimony of each related professional, we agree to every other item that is outlined in those letters. So unless there are any questions, I have three witnesses here with me tonight. First, our engineer, Kelly Osuch, will be back to testify as to the revised plans and the exhibits to address the comments of the board. Our
Okay, and
architect,
Kelly Osuch has been sworn and accepted as an expert.
correct,
Who's next?
James Necker, who was also sworn and testified as an expert with regard to the architecturals. But we will start his testimony over again this evening, continue to be under oath now that you have the full sets of architecturals in front of you. We also have our planner, Mr. Kyle, who will be here to testify with regard to the relief required for the application and the specific criteria required by the municipal land use law for you to grant that relief. As I indicated, our traffic engineer, Betsy Dolan, that was supposed to be here this evening, is stuck in South Carolina. Mr. Dean is here tonight to play backup. She was the one that we were dealing with originally, and we have prepped her, and he is here willing and able to testify and answer any questions. But we do believe that since we are willing to agree to everything in Mr. Troutman's report, and we did submit the revised traffic report that addresses all of the original comments in his prior, that you may have enough information in front of you without traffic testimony. But we leave that up to you. If you do have questions, he's certainly here to be able to testify for you. And unless anybody has any questions, I'd like to call our engineer.
It's fine.
Thank you. Absolutely. So Kelly, just state your name for the court reporter.
Sure. Kelly Osuch, KELLEYO''SUCH.
And you remain under oath, correct?
Yes.
All right, Kelly, you've heard my opening. Why don't we start with the revisions that were made to the plans that are before you?
Sure. So I have sheet 8 of the plans up on the easel right now. And that depicts the site design or the site plan. At the last hearing, there was a comment regarding wayfinding signs and adding those to the plans. We have since gone through, revised the plan set to include wayfinding signs throughout the property. All of the wayfinding signs, with the exception of one, will meet the ordinance size requirements.
And what is that size requirement?
3 square feet or less. But one sign, we're going to ask for relief, and it's going to be 24 square feet, and that'll be along or near the entrance drive, which will basically have.
Could you show us on the exhibit, because it's extremely hard
Sure.
to figure out what you're talking about?
There's, in this
So
island,
hold up one second. Is there anyone out in the audience that is not here with the applicant or in support of the applicant? Is there anyone not somehow related to the applicant? Okay, and you're an interested party? A reporter. Okay, so my suggestion is to take that easel and bring it right over here. And if the reporter wants to look at it, I have no problem if you want to set up a chair here.
It's got the best seat in the house.
John, I'm sorry, just to confirm, the 3 individuals in the back are with this applicant?
Yes,
Okay,
I believe they're actually with the property owner.
correct.
okay, thank you.
All right, before you
or
go on,
Property owners.
Kara, move
Yes.
that microphone closer to you. And then Kelly, when you sit back, move that one closer to you too.
Right. Now, anyone on the board cannot see this exhibit.
Well, it's just when he's talking about
Yep,
multiple
and
things
so
and not pointing to
use
a
your
map.
laser pointer and.
I
Right.
have a
there
quick
you go.
question. If you could let us know which one of these review reports you are starting with, and so that we can follow along more systematically.
I'll mention the letters when I get to them. I'm just going off of previous comments from the board here. Okay, so at the last hearing, there was a comment about adding wayfinding signs to the site plan. My understanding is the actual location of wayfinding signs do not have to match the exact locations that are shown here, but it's more for illustration that there's going to be wayfinding signs on the property. That said, there is one proposed wayfinding sign.
What is saying?
What do you mean that
They don't-
you're on?
The board should approve, if there's a sign package, the board should.
Jeff,
Yeah.
microphone,
So this-
microphone.
If there's a sign package incorporated with the site plan, the board should know the locations. If in the future there's some sort of deviation, then the township planner can review it, but as part of the initial one, it should
And
be.
that is exactly what the intention is. We're showing them on the plans where they are. If there needs to be some sort of change down the road operationally, we'll certainly let you know. But what we are presenting to you tonight by way of all signage is what we're asking you to approve.
Aha, okay, it's different than what he said. Okay.
Thank you.
So they're not illustrative, they're what you believe is
Right, this is
where
your,
it's gonna go.
right, this is
Correct.
your proposal. This isn't just an estimate.
Correct. There's one wayfinding sign that is not going to meet the ordinance requirement. That wayfinding sign is located along the western property boundary, along the proposed access drive. That wayfinding sign is going to be 24 square feet, and it's going to have a logo for both the Nissan and the Toyota dealership, along with service, sales, and other wayfinding items with directional arrows. So basically, the idea is that wayfinding sign will prevent the general public from continuing on through the entrance drive into either the future neighbor development and or into the rear of this.
Okay, so
Well,
in your plans, on one of the pages, you have the sign pack, the sign.
We have, yes, we have the sign package, which is on
So what
sheets.
sheet is that so we can see that sign?
sheet 29.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm looking at the sheet and it looks like it's the bottom right-hand side, number 6.
Correct. Detail 6.
Detail 6. And it's really just the Toyota and Nissan symbol, logo, and then verbiage.
Correct. And arrows.
So what's the permitted sign for, size for a wayfinding sign?
3 square feet,
And this is how many square feet?
24 square feet.
So why isn't this a sign versus a wayfinding sign?
It's the entrance sign.
Yeah, Jeff, so is this really a wayfinding sign or is this a ground sign?
It's a wayfinding sign because it's providing direction to the general public on where these sales, service, and parts departments are for the Toyota and the Nissan dealership.
What is the maximum size of a wayfinding sign?
The regulation is 3, and within the section, the planning board, or in this case, the Board of Adjustment, can regulate it to 16 square feet. So I'd say that 16 is
The max.
the max,
What is the maximum size of a ground sign?
100.
They already need variances for the number of ground signs or not?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we do.
Are they better off calling this a ground sign and not having a square footage restriction and adding another variance or an additional ground sign? Or are they better off calling it a directional sign and needing variance for the directional sign, which, by the way, I can't remember when the board has ever granted a variance for a directional sign, but the board has granted, I'm not going to say a lot of variances, but a fair number of variances for additional ground signs. I'm just asking this question. I'm asking the question. I have no opinion on the answer. What do you think as the township planner?
I mean, because there's a regulation of 16 square feet, it would be more appropriate for it to be another ground sign.
Why do you need, let's assume this was a directional sign. Why do you need it 24 square feet? Why can't it be 16? And if the answer is like a really good answer of why, then why would you mind calling it a ground sign?
I don't think we would have any objection to calling it a ground sign. The reason for the size is, again,
He's got to answer, not you.
It's for visibility of the general public coming up that access drive that's going to serve multiple developments, this development and any future development on the neighboring property. And again, it's to deter the public from going the wrong direction. It's to guide them where they are supposed to
But
go.
this is
What-
going to be located right on 202.
No,
No.
no,
How back?
it's, Donna, it's in this area, this gourd island.
By their
Once you
driveway.
come into the driveway, it's right here.
and again, just keep in mind, remember, this is a court-ordered shared driveway aspect off of 202. So that also furthers, and you'll hear more from our planner in connection with that, but that also furthers the reason why this sign may need to be a little bit larger than one of your typical wayfinding signs.
Why would that? It's a shared driveway. You're putting it on your property, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Well,
we
no,
are.
Well,
not to get going back into the beginning, the shared driveway is on the neighboring property.
Correct.
All right, let's not
But
go down.
wait,
that
is
road.
it-
We're
is
getting
this
off
on-
track here.
is this
We-
on the subject property or off the property?
The wayfinding sign is on the subject property.
We are willing to request a variance from an additional ground sign, which this is much less than 100 square feet permitted, and I'd like to leave it at that.
And we'll move on.
Okay, so
The
let's-
only
let's-
other change,
Let us just take the notes. Think that's a good idea. So this is not going to be a wayfinding sign. It's going to be considered a ground sign. You'll need a variance for a third ground sign.
What's the setback to that sign?
it is 2.3 feet from the side yard.
But whether it's a ground sign or a directional sign, they'd still need relief from that, wouldn't they?
Yes.
So it doesn't change that. All right, I think we've resolved the first burning issue.
Thank you.
Okay, second, sheet 29 also shows an additional change.
Yes, we've added a typical wayfinding sign detail, which is detail 7 on that sheet. And that illustrates a 3 square foot wayfinding sign, which would be typical.
Okay, so that's all the signage we have on the drawings. Let's talk about the last change with regard to parking.
Yeah, so at the last hearing, there was concern raised over the 5 stacked car storage in the rear of the property. We've heard those concerns from the board and the applicants decided to remove the last row of stalls. So the 13 stalls that were previously along the southern boundary of the car storage area, namely in this general location, has been removed. So 13 stalls have been removed from the project. We are now proposing a total of 471 stalls on the property. 297 of the spaces would be dedicated to parking in accordance with the ordinance, and 174 stalls would be dedicated to display/car storage.
Were there any changes done in response to the feedback about the landscaping islands and the need for the landscaping islands?
We're going to get to that when we address the comments of the engineer and landscape architect's letter that we're not going to comply with. If you wouldn't mind just letting us go in order so we make sure we hit everything.
In reducing or removing the 13 stalls, we no longer need relief for 5 stacked stalls. It's now down to 4 stacked stalls. And there was a comment within the township planner's letter to confirm that the car storage is less than 50% of the area used, and we reviewed that, and based on the breakdown, it is less than 50% of the car storage or of the parking area.
What is it?
Uh,
And did you submit it? And Jeff, does that get, or Jessica, does that get interpreted the,
37%.
Okay, and just.
I'd like clarification because the board wasn't given that information and it's been
Right.
something I've had written down that we needed.
Yeah, I just want to say that in a sentence.
Say it in a sentence.
Yeah.
The answer is 37%. No,
The answer, start with the question.
The
and then give
answer is, the question is, what,
the car storage area would be 37% of the total parking area on the property.
So does that include just the physical dimensions of the parking spots? Or are you including the drive aisles that are part of that impervious coverage?
Just the parking areas.
But you can't get to the parking areas without the drive aisles.
That's not the way the ordinance is written.
can we read can someone find that ordinance, give us the section and just read it? Okay, what's the ordinance section?
And in the microphone.
What's the ordinance section?
296-159E4.
Read it slowly, please.
The area devoted to outside display of new and used cars, machinery, or equipment shall not exceed the area of the principal or main building or 50% of the total lot area, whichever is greater.
In car storage, 37% of, what you said, the parking area.
The parking area.
Right.
That was-
Jeff, please.
The area devoted to outside display of new and used cars, machinery, or equipment shall not exceed the area of the principal or main building or 50% of the total lot area, whichever is greater. All driveways, customer parking areas, display areas, and vehicle storage areas shall be paved with asphalt or similar surfaces.
Bottom line is, it's not, the car storage area is not limited. It is display areas are limited to no more than 50% of the entire.
Lot area.
Building or lot area, whichever is greater.
Right, so can you do the calculation again? Say the sentence again. Just say the sentence correctly.
The car storage over the lot area is 4.2%.
4.2.
Now, unless there's some other ordinance, that seems to be the ordinance requirement.
Yeah, I guess I feel uncomfortable when the data to support that or the calculations isn't on the plans or wasn't in any of the, you're just giving us a number.
Do we
Sheet-
have, Kelly, do
yeah,
we have,
Sheet 8A, which was previously submitted and is part of the plan set, delineates the difference between the general parking area and the display parking. And as you can see, anything in pink is dedicated to car storage and display.
Mhm.
And it is less than the normal parking. And as I just testified to, it's 4.2% of the total lot area.
So you're having display in the back of the building.
Car storage / display.
All the green spaces in the front of the building are not display.
No,
Okay, I mean, most car dealerships that they see display in the front, not in the back.
this is what our client's proposing.
Okay,
That's what we're presenting to the board.
is someone going to testify how the display in the rear of the building is going to work? They're going to have people walking around,
It's storage,
but that's not display. That's different. It's dis-
correct. It's display and storage according to the ordinance.
Could you read that ordinance again, please?
The area devoted to outside display of new and used cars and machinery or equipment shall not exceed the area of the principal or main building or 50% of the total lot area, whichever is greater.
Okay, so you're right. It's only display, but I'm misunderstanding. Are you saying that my client can't have the parking layout the way that we have it here?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that since most of the other car dealerships that ever seen have them in the front, some board members might not believe that he's actually going to have display in the back and not in the front. That's what I'm saying. You'll have to have someone explain, the theory behind having display in the rear, just so they understand and believe it, basically.
Okay, well, Mr. Giannotti, that I think everybody believed was a very credible witness, testified that this is what we're proposing. This is
Right.
what we're willing to be bound by. Not,
Okay.
I think there are other issues too. In addition to that, the logistics of how that's gonna get handled and what are the implications of that.
yeah,
far as the
we
people are
testified at the previous meeting. I think there was concern about in the front, the display, if the general public saw an open spot within the display area and they got stacked in within the customer service parking, And that's a valid concern. And what we testified to is there would be some type of pavement marking and or small signage that says no parking in these areas. These are devoted to car storage and display. And likewise, there would be the same markings in the rear.
So that's what, I want to make sure, the pink, the one row of pink that has 50 spaces in the front and all the pink in the back, those are the display spaces, and green are not display, green are parking. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
That's their testimony.
Okay.
That's on the plan.
Okay.
So I think that seeing the square footage of where they're located versus the total lot area, which is on the plan as well, gives you the backup for
Yeah,
the
And I'm
calculation.
sorry to keep on harping on this, Jeff. Read me that language. It's 50% of the building area or the lot area, whichever is greater, meaning what? Which the building area or the lot area that's greater? That doesn't make sense, because obviously the lot area is always going to be bigger than the building area. Or does it mean that the percentage of 50% can't be more than either the building area or the lot area, whichever is greater? In which case, the greater percentage would be taking it against the square footage of the building area.
I'm not even sure I understand what you just said, John. Can you say that again?
In other words, read the ordinance one more time slowly, and I'll explain what my question is.
The area devoted to outside display of new and used cars, machinery, or equipment shall not exceed the area of the principal or main building or
By 50% or
50% of the total lot area, whichever is greater.
so do a calculation of square footage of display and the square footage of the buildings. I just want to see how it fits in the ordinance, because something I'm not fully understanding.
The square footage of the buildings we have at 60,993 square feet is the footprint area. If we take that and divide the car storage area,
Which
it's
is how much?
Okay, it's 100% of the building or 50% of the lot area, whichever is greater. Okay, so just tell it, what is the square footage of the display area?
21,708 square feet.
21,000. 21,700 what?
708.
Okay, so the display is certainly less than 60,933. And you're saying that the building area divided by the display comes to 4.2%.
No, the building area, no. The car storage area divided by the building area,
Do
if
me a
that's
favor,
what we're
Call it
asking.
a display area, please. Don't call it car storage. I want to follow the wording in the ordinance. The display, the square footage of display, which you said is 21,708 square feet. The ordinance, as I understand it, says it can't be greater than 100% of the building area, and it's not,
It's not.
correct?
It is not,
And it can't be greater than 50% of the lot area.
and it's not.
So tell me, what percentage is a display area of the lot area? I thought you said 4.2%.
Yes,
You did.
So unless some of the experts think I'm wrong, I think they're fine with this, unless you don't believe that one line, that the green areas are not displayed. They're testifying that those are parking spaces and not display.
Okay.
All right. Second thing we've gotten over. Okay, we're making progress. What's
Making
next?
progress. All right, so Kelly, does that outline all of the changes reflected in the revised plans?
yes, that was
Uh,
previously testified to.
Correct, correct. The removal of the parking spaces reduces the total proposed impervious coverage on lot 31, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what does it reduce it to?
48.81%.
And is that in compliance with the ordinance?
Yes,
And does the removal of those 13 spaces also decrease the percentage of hard cover surface within the steep slope areas. Does it affect that?
Yes, that would now be 54.46%.
And that's in the 13% to 19% areas, correct?
Correct.
And that is less than what was previously proposed, but still more than the 27.5% that's permitted.
That's correct.
So
And
we do need a variance from that.
correct.
And we also need variances for the other steep slope items that are outlined in the planner and engineer's reports, correct?
Correct.
And we'll address those.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
In the May 30th letter from James Kaiser, it says the hard coverage is being reduced to 54.46%, not 48 point, whatever that number was that you just
That was
said.
the impervious, not the hard surface.
Hard surface.
Hard surface is being reduced to 54.46. The impervious is being reduced to 48.81.
You're referring to table 4, correct? And the 54.46 is related to the 13 to 19%?
Correct.
Wait, so the hard surface, so does this require a variance or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we said. Thank you. Okay, so let's get,
Jessica, is that in your report somewhere?
Page
Can you just
13,
tell me what page and what's?
Loudly.
13, table 4.
I had it just a second ago. And then I scrolled away.
It's on- I think it's on the chart on page 8.
No, she's talking about page 13, table 4, the hard surface.
But maximum hard surface coverage, they comply.
Yeah, 48.1%. And then later on under, there's a section later where it references
Sheet
the
13 of your
the
letter.
54%.
Mhm.
But the hard surface coverage, it does match. I think that's tree removal. Maybe not. Let's see.
Because again, something's not making sense. The chart on page 8 says,
Again, we've testified to this. It's the overall property's impervious coverage is 48.81. Within the various slope categories, there's other hard surface coverage limits. We are over the limit within that 13 to 19% category.
okay.
And that's where the 54.46%
So it's
is.
not that it's hard surface versus impervious because Raritan Township doesn't have impervious.
Correct.
Raritan Township only has hard surface. It's the hard surface on a slope area between 13 to 19% and hard surface on a slope area more than 20%. Is that correct?
Correct. And that number did not change from what was previously testified to.
And that's in my report on page
13.
13 on the top. Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought I heard someone say impervious. That's what threw me
You
off.
did. That was me. My apologies.
Okay.
Can the zoning table on the sheet number 1 be revised to reflect that?
Absolutely.
In what way, Jeff? Just so I'm clear.
So in the zoning chart, it says 48.81, but there's no asterisk to then confirm what the state.
If you go to sheet 5 of the plans, it illustrates that
So,
breakdown.
right, at the asterisk, say see sheet 5.
Okay, that's fine.
And just so I can follow along, Jessica, which report were you referring to? You talked about sheet 13. 'cause I
July
know-
11, 2025, her report number 5 on page 13, table 4 at the top of that
There's
page,
no,
right?
Yeah.
yep,
that's-
okay.
Yep. That's correct. Page 13 on the top of the page. Table 4.
All right, so let's get into the fun stuff, as if this wasn't fun already.
Yeah, we're just clearing our throat.
Let's talk about one of the exhibits. So I have hard copies of what was submitted to the board as additional exhibits. Like to hand them
So we're
out?
up to exhibit A4 from last time. So this is going to start with exhibit A5.
Correct.
So let's mark, first of all, it is good. So these are just clipped onto the board so they can be folded after. So let's mark each one, starting with A5. So hand them out first so everyone can mark them together, please.
I basically made a package.
That's good.
of all
Thank you.
five.
Taylor, are the digital copies of these exhibits up on the,
No,
right, so tomorrow you can put them up there, right?
on what? I have them digitally.
Are they on the Google Drive?
No.
So, yeah, maybe get a file folder for exhibits.
All right, so,
Because they're all put together?
No.
no, we're gonna go.
They're gonna mark each one.
Okay, so the first one in your packet is an existing conditions plan, which has not changed from the existing. We just provided an additional copy.
Whoa.
just in case.
Have everyone open it. Let's make sure they have what you have up on the board. For example, I'm looking at mine, and maybe mine is upside down.
All right, everybody take a deep breath. Kelly, which one are you showing right now and which one am I gonna put up on the TV?
I was trying to explain that in the packet, there is an existing conditions plan, which Kelly provided, just so in case there was anybody in the audience, in case we needed an additional one. That has already been marked as A1, so we can put that aside right now. Okay,
But you haven't handed A1 out here, right? Is A1? Okay. So what you were saying, I just want to make sure because the existing site conditions exhibit, you're saying this is a large size of A1.
correct.
So I do want people to mark this as A1 so they know which one you're referring to.
So which one is A1?
Kelly, put A1 up there.
Okay,
And A1 was marked during the February hearing session.
First hearing.
So put A1, and then you guys should put 2/6/2025 under it. Now, what you've handed out, though, is a revision dated May 30th, 2025.
Not of the existing condition. Oh, there is one, I'm sorry, okay.
It is
Go ahead.
noted on there. Nothing has changed on the
Okay.
image, but yes,
So can we cross out revision 1?
that's fine.
Excellent. That's what I was a little confused about. Now I'm cleared up on that.
What we would like to mark as A5,
Okay,
okay, is the next one in your packet, which is the newly updated proposed conditions plan, which reflects the amendments to the site plan that are presented to the board.
Kelly, put up what Kara says you must have marked as exhibit A5.
Yes,
That's not what this exhibit says. It says proposed site conditions exhibit.
correct.
You use the word new and something else in there. I just want to, okay, just read what this one
It says proposed site conditions exhibit prepared by AKRF dated February 6th, 2025, revision 1, May 30th, 2025.
Okay. So this one is A5 marked tonight, 7/17/2025. That's A5. Okay, what do you got next?
You want to mark them all?
Wait, I want to mark them all.
All right. Michael?
A6, this is the pylon sign cross-section exhibit.
What is it?
Pylon sign.
Hold
Correct.
on. Okay, pylon sign cross-section exhibit. This is A6. And it's
Correct.
dated 5/30/2025, correct?
That's correct.
That's getting today's exhibit date, which is 7/17/2025. That's A6.
Hold on. That's gonna be A6.
Guys following along so far?
It's regard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's A6.
Hold on. That should be, okay,
Ready?
yeah, I want to confirm, she's gonna tell us.
Because that doesn't have any revisions, right? Just date.
A6 does not have any revisions.
Okay.
A7 will be the light pole across Route
Okay, again,
202.
don't say across. Read from the exhibit. That's what you're messing me up.
That's right.
Along Route 202 frontage cross-section exhibit.
A7. Dated 5/30/2025,
Correct.
and mark it 7/17/2025. That's the date. Just give us a minute to write this down.
That's A7. Should be
A7. You guys ready for the next one?
A8 is the rear tree sightline exhibit.
Is the what? This one is not titled.
It's,
Profile view.
yeah, that's what it says.
Okay, this is exhibit A8 is profile view.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, this is dated February 6, 2025, revision 1, 5/30/2025. Is that correct?
That is correct.
This is A8. Again, entered into evidence of 7/17/25.
Okay, everybody ready? All right, so at the last time you testified, Kelly, we did not get to the site lighting. So if we can have some testimony with regard to the site lighting, and then we will discuss exhibit A6, which is the pylon,
A7.
I'm sorry, A7, which is the light pole exhibit.
Exhibit A7, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Before that, though, the lighting plan, sheet 16 of 37 is on the easel.
Yep.
So before you get started, if you recall, I had asked something about where the light is and the impact of that into the neighborhood and across. So I hope you'll cover that while you're going through this.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the last hearing, we were testifying to the lighting. The lights were previously mounted at 25 feet for the pole mounted lights. We've since revised the plan that all pole mounted lights are at 20 feet high. In addition to that, all lights that are pole mounted will have downward shields, specifically on the southern portion of the building nearest the residential properties, but also along 202. And those poles are facing inward towards the site, not out towards the highway. They're facing inward, and there still would be downward shields on those poles as well.
And so would that totally reduce it or it will minimize?
I'll get to the exhibit A7 that'll illustrate that. In the rear of the property, there would be zero spillage to the residential properties. So it would be zero light spill at the property line in the south. Along the eastern boundary, which is or sorry, the western boundary, which is with the shared drive, there is spillage, but it's on a commercial property and it's on the shared driveway. And that spillage gets up to 1.6 foot candles. In addition to that, we are asking for relief in the parking area for exceeding the 4:1 ratio of minimum to average lighting. Or average to minimum. Sorry, I said that backwards, but the 4:1 is exceeded where we are proposing 18.3:1. And then all other parking areas where we previously had less than 0.3 or 0.2 foot candles in the parking areas have been revised to meet the 0.25 minimum requirement, and 0.3 is the minimum shown. So if we move on,
Could
Go
you point out the areas where you're exceeding the lighting, just generally on that map?
when you say exceeding,
Where you seek the relief.
Where you
She wants
seek
to
the
know-
relief,
sorry, yeah, so we're seeking relief in the front here
so it'll be
for
brighter.
the average or the average to the minimum ratio is higher than 4:1.
And all of that is on our property.
And
correct?
again, that's the average lighting level to the minimum is what gets you that exceedance. So it's not necessarily that it's much brighter. It's just that it goes from number X down to 0 in the measured area. So that ratio gets higher.
You know what the purpose of the average to minimum requirement is?
It's to generally keep a uniform light spill over the parking area.
So you don't have some spots that are showing real bright and some that are showing dark?
Correct.
Now, one of the things we did agree to do in one of the last hearings was to conduct a lighting test and to determine if there should be any adjustments. And also, we agreed to dim the lights to 75 or 80%, depending upon the board's preference outside of hours of operation. Are we still agreeing to do that?
Yes, and there's notes on the plans to that effect.
But would that 75% dimming still exceed our minimum? Or our standard?
It's the
I'll put it that
average
way.
to minimum. It's the
Yes.
average to minimum.
It will still exceed.
We're
At that
asking for
point,
relief from that.
yeah, we're asking for relief.
We're just saying in order to
So
help.
by how much?
Well, no, I don't think, I think we're muddying waters here. We're designing the site with when the lights are on, full blast. We're asking for the relief from the 4:1 ratio at that point.
Yeah, well, our question is,
When you dim the lights, it's off hours, it's not operational hours. And then we're turning them off completely
Right,
after
but-
those
but
hours.
she wants to know when you dim them, does that change the average to minimum? And if you measured it at the 75%, the dim rate, what average to minimum would you have? She's curious. That's what she wants to know.
I'd have to do the calculation.
Yeah, I mean, the concern is that light spillage. I mean, we've had some
And it-
historical areas. in the
Yeah, again, the
township.
light spillage is,
It's not
It's
like-
on our
it's
property.
0 on the residential properties.
Nights-
It's 0 on the frontage along Route 202. The only spot that there's light spillage over the property line is on the
Kelly,
western property
Can you
boundary.
take that exhibit?
Yeah,
Bring it
I-
right up here.
I understand it. What I'm,
Well,
but
you-
you have to admit, there will be night glare in the sky. You'll see the glow from the parking lot lights as you
The,
approach the site.
the lights, yes, you'll see lights facing down towards the parking lot, just like you would see in any commercial site throughout Raritan Township that has lights on.
But
we
that-
just want to understand the extent of that glare. That's why the question.
And
Right.
we totally understand
Right.
it. And that's why I think that one of the benefits of doing a nightlight test post-construction will enable us to determine how much dimmer we may need to do it. Maybe we
Well,
need
that
to go
doesn't help,
70%. Maybe we need to take a look at that. But I would submit to the board that the on-site testing and tweaking is actually going to be more beneficial than doing a
So
calculation
we're
right
looking
now on
for-
paper.
We're looking for a theoretical answer. You have 100%, there's X glare. Now, she's saying, and I'm with her, that
We're,
if there's 70 or 80% reduction, what would be that glare? It's that from a calculation, then you can do whatever you want to do when you install it.
we're
We
we're
just
not,
need to
me-
understand that.
these numbers aren't measuring glare.
Right.
So I can't answer that. We're not measuring glare.
Yeah, and I think too, just to quickly, just to kind of clarify, so it's looking at the average divided by what the minimum required lighting is on the site. So if the lights are dim, that ratio would just in theory go down because the highest peak level will reduce as you dim the lights. So that number is going to come down. But yeah, I mean, we don't have what that number
So
would be.
let me stay with the maximum, because there's a variance they're looking for. How much does that extend from what we would allow them? Because it's a variance.
Yeah, sure. So the required is 4-1, and I believe
He
Kelly
said
it was
18.3 to 1.
Correct.
That's what they're proposing, 18.3 to 1. So I assume when the lights are on full blast, if it's 18.3 to 1, you will see certain areas in the parking lot that are a lot lighter than other areas. Is that correct?
That's correct. And
And
it's,
am I dumb to ask if it's 18.3, if you're gonna reduce by 3/4? When they're dim, it's gonna be,
no, we're talking about a ratio measured from different light areas that we're testing on the site.
It's hard to say too, just because in theory, some of those levels on the site would go to 0. So now you're trying to figure
Divided by
out.
0.
Yeah, right, you can't divide by 0.
no,
So
I thought you guys talked about average.
Say again?
I thought they were talking about average is something. I heard something about you have leveled it, so there's an average number.
right, yeah, so
So if it's an average and if it's 18.3, is it fair to assume then that's gonna go
So
down?
I think what Ryan just said, and it's correct, the average is going to come down. When we lower the lighting level to 75 or 70%, there's going to be areas within that parking area now that are at 0 foot candles. So when you do a ratio of whatever the average is divided by 0, there's no answer.
So what I understand is because of the leveling, there are certain areas that would be brighter than the
Correct.
other, yet 100%. And then when you bring it down, it would proportionally go down, and you can't commit to that unless you know what those are.
The lighting source is what is controlling everything. So we're saying the light source would be dropped 70 to 75% of what the full blow is.
Gotcha.
And that comes out.
I got it.
Yeah.
I have the ordinance here in front of me now to read it. So it's
Ordinance
I'm gonna-
sec- ordinance
so, yeah, this
section.
is Ordinance section 296-75. G20C. So it's taking the average divided by the minimum required for the ordinance, which is 0.25 foot candles. So when the lights are dimmed on site, it would be whatever the new average on the site is divided by 0.25. So
So
not
so
0.
0.25 stays the same.
0.25 stays the
Okay,
same.
now-
I did not know that.
So
Okay.
in theory, when that gets
Thank you.
dimmed-
That answers my question.
Okay.
Because that way, even if it's proportional, it's gonna be
Sure.
down.
Right.
And so when is there gonna be, what's gonna be the exception or condition we're gonna put in here for that?
Well, they are seeking an exception to allow them to deviate from the 4-to-1 average to 0.25 ratio to allow them to have 18.3 to 1. Average to minimum 0.25. Can you just, Ryan, do you know which of the areas in the parking lot are going to be brighter and which are going to be dimmer? Or actually, why don't I ask Kelly?
Yeah.
Kelly, do you happen to know which of the areas are going to be brighter? Which of the areas, in other words, are going to be that the
So the-
18.3 to 1?
Take a step back. The lighting is measured in various locations on the property. So there's different areas where we're measuring this 4-to-1 ratio. There's the display area and parking in the front. There's the customer parking on the side, customer parking in the middle, and customer and employee parking on
The other
the
side.
east, the other side. And then there's a measurement of the overflow parking area and or car storage display area,
Car display.
car display area in the rear. Within those areas, there's high and lows within every section of those
All right.
measured areas. And that's where the ratios are coming from. So your answer of where it's going to be highest throughout the site.
He's got it.
Kelly, your table on 16, drawing 16 of 37
Yes,
indicates the front row display customer parking which is across the front of the building, is
Correct.
the area that has the highest lighting on the site.
Has the highest ratio number.
Correct.
Correct.
Could that ratio be, because there is more than adequate lighting in that area, could you increase the spacing in your poles and potentially reduce the number of poles to pull that ratio down?
We could look into that.
I don't want to throw another wrench into the equation here. I believe the chart then is then wrong where it shows the average divided by the minimum. I
Right.
think we're using the minimum of what's
What
in
was
that area,
measured.
but it should be 0.25 as the minimum.
Right.
So right now, just looking at that, the one that has 18.3, that would actually be 22 to 1. is what's
22 to 1.
being requested.
You're saying this exhibit has to be redone? It's not per the order. You did average to minimum when it should have been average to 0.25.
To the township. minimum,
To the
not
township minimum.
Right.
So the exhibit's gonna have to be redone.
Revised.
And then the variance you're looking is also
Yeah,
different.
then the numbers are going to be
Yeah,
changing.
So
Right.
That's not the exhibit, it's sheet.
Sheet 16 of
16,
37.
Right.
Because right now you're doing a 20-foot spacing on those poles across the front of the building?
No, it's more than 20 feet.
20, what's E? at
That's the
20 feet?
mounting height, 20 feet high.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
and thank you for bringing those down.
Yeah.
Based on what we did. You understand our concern, right? We
I
brought it up
100%
last time
understand the
because
concern.
We
I
are
do.
in the area and we don't wanna,
That's why,
because
that's
we do
why,
have dealership on 202, which is fine, whatever it is. And we're
Right.
moving into an area where we want to be a little more concerned about things like light at night.
which again was why I had thought that test and a tweaking as necessary after construction is, in my opinion, best way to make sure that your concerns are
Yeah, but
totally.
let's
That's not
let's
the
follow
issue.
this one out. Let's say there's a condition. Normally, if the board grants approval, there's a nightlight test. The nightlight test is for two purposes. One is to make sure that the lighting is actually per the plan. And the second one is to make sure it's not too dim for safety and not too bright, that doesn't have glare and all that.
Exactly.
Right. The tester is normally the township engineer's office. So you comfortable that you could, do the test? Maybe if the board wanted to create a subcommittee of less than a quorum, you go out there. This is what Bernard's Township Planning Board does all the time. They do it, they have a landscaping subcommittee with the township planner, and they have a lighting subcommittee with the township engineer to go out after the thing's been constructed to both check to see if it complies with the plan and to especially the lighting, landscaping to see if there's any gaps, and the lighting to make sure that it's not, there aren't any like total blind spots or, glare coming in.
And
So-
what happens if the test?
They have to
fails?
make the adjustment.
This is something that. we
And
do with
if
a
the
lot of-
adjustment is substantial, they got to come back to the board. If the adjustment is not substantial, field change.
Okay. that makes
So
sense.
in my opinion, you could impose a condition like that, and I assume the applicant would be fine with that, right?
100% that we propose it.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
this is
so-
something that we do quite consistently, quite often.
But that's, again, if your design, can your design be modified to be more in conformance with our ordinance, especially across the front display area where you have the highest exceedance?
In other words, what she's asking is, what would you have to do to get either the 18.1 or the 22, according to Ryan, to 1, closer to 4 to 1? What would you have to do to do that?
We would,
That's a
ha-
question to Kelly.
we would have to lower the average level that we're measuring off of.
And how would you go about doing that?
We would have to reduce the light, the level of the light coming out of the sources and the measurement at the ground where it's the highest point.
So could you do that and still have the facility be safe?
Safe, yes.
Okay, so what's the problem in doing that then?
Well, we're not going to adequately light the area of the car display.
Of course.
Okay, from what,
This way is in the back.
so what's the hours of operation?
I have to go back.
9 o'clock.
Because the only time you would need to light the display would be in, the wintertime months when it gets dark at, let's say, 4:30, but what time do you close?
Bear with me.
Most places close at 7,
to
right?
8 PM.
Testimony at the first hearing.
Yes, I believe it was 7 to 8 PM.
Let them answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, my notes say the board was actually going to impose a condition that service was 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and sales was 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
8 PM.
Now, I assume if you're going for service, you go in, if you have a problem with the car, you make it your business to get in. If you're going to, these are assumptions, and you're going to tell me if I'm incorrect in my assumptions. Sales, I would assume most people would like to keep on working, and at the end of the workday, let's say 5 o'clock, then they're going to go between 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to buy a car. Now, if they're going to the dealership to buy a car, what is the purpose of the display area? You don't look at the cars inside the showroom? I mean, I know during the day people walk around. Do people walk around when it's dark from 5 to 8 and look at the display area under artificial lights? Who can answer that question? Because if the answer is no, that normally doesn't happen, then what are we talking about? Just get rid of the variance. So I think we need an applicant's representative to answer that question. In other words, is it really important to the operation that you get this exception granted? Or can they tell Kelly, fix it so it complies, and from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., you're not going to have a real well-lit display area?
Obviously, I have to check.
Right. I say that you're going to check, so I think we should move on to the next issue, but this is something that should be checked, because if you eliminated that exception, you eliminate this whole line of questioning.
But your request is to see what we can do to
No,
get it.
we already know what, Kelly's already said what he can do. The question is, will the owner allow him to do it? Because what Kelly said was, if he does, what has to be done to get towards the 4 to 1, when it's dark out, the display area is not going to be well lit.
Got it. That's where I was going.
And if you guys show up for that, I don't want to blindside you. I will ask this person a question about my previous concern about walking around at the back for your display. So that you are aware, I'm going to ask that question.
Can you clarify?
Logistically, because what I'm used to, and it's just because most of the displays in the front.
Correct.
Hardly any at the back. In fact, they're always service cars when you go to, at least where I go. So I just can't understand the logistics of how this was going to work. I mean, it's your business, but I worry about safety of people. Okay.
Kelly, before we get off of this, I have some questions. I couldn't find the distance. I could find the distance from 202 to the building, but I couldn't find the distance from 202 to the parking lot, the first line of displays. Do you have that?
Yeah, we have an exhibit A7 that I can bring up that illustrates that information.
Okay. And then, so if I understand it correctly, today, from the property where the parking would be to 202, there's a slope of 15, 12, 15 feet? And,
It depends on where you're measuring
okay,
from.
but there's a definite slope.
Yeah, there's an
and-
increase in height.
And your proposal is to fill that, correct?
To change the elevations, yes.
Okay, so then the first, again, we were talking about the lighting. So the lights are going to be 20 feet in the air. And the distance from that parking down to 202 is 10 to 12 feet. So we're saying that from 202, the light pole is about 30 feet in the air.
Without measuring it about.
About, yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to get that picture in my mind as we're talking about what the lighting should look like. And my concern is from the standpoint of your current facilities, okay? And how well lit they are. And in that area, that works fine. In the car, all that rows of cars and lots, that works fine. And I'm only talking my opinion here. My thought process is that that would not be the same lighting we're having up at the new facility. The way the Toyota blocks are all lit on the wall and everything, that it would look more like the BMW dealer at night, where it's extremely low. And I think that's where we have the 4:1 lighting ratio. So again, I'm just trying to visualize what we're talking about here and then give you my thoughts about what you have currently, what I think our expectation is that's not repeated up where we're moving to, and that it's more the 4:1.
Okay. And here's the last thing. So in the winter, when it gets dark around 4:30 to 8, it's winter and it's very cold. So just ask him if he really has people walking around outside between 4:30 and 8 p.m. for sales in a display area when it's in the middle of the winter and it's cold. Because again, if he doesn't, that's all the more reason he should authorize Kelly to try to comply with the 4:1 ratio.
Okay. And Kelly, I was just speaking for myself.
No, I
Okay, I don't-
appreciate the feedback.
Well, if people agree with the chair, they should indicate, so it's not just the chair.
Yes.
Agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Agree?
Okay,
So you were speaking for the board. You didn't even realize it.
okay, okay. All right,
Going back to your original question of how far that pole or the poles are mounted from 202,
thank you.
we're referring to Exhibit A7, which was entered today. Measurement from the curb line of Route 202 to where the poles are mounted is 65.4 feet horizontally. So if you think of a basketball hoop as 10 feet tall, it's more than 10 basketball hoops laid down off the road.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
The question is more, you're gonna be looking at 30 feet, right?
Well, it depends on, again, it depends on where you're at the site, because the site, the parking lot is all level at the top.
Yeah.
202 loses grade as you go across the
Yes.
frontage. So as you get closer to the light near Voorhees Corner, the lights are going to be technically higher at that point, whereas closer to the driveway opening, it's going to be not as high.
Yeah.
So this cross section that you pictured here,
Yes,
that's what we're talking about?
yes.
Okay.
And if you're looking at A7, we provide the cross section through the light. The one we're proposing is the third one in going into the Toyota building, which is relatively in the middle of the site, just to kind of give the average look of where that pole's going to be.
Just to clarify, that has the little orange box.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You have any more? I have one. Visually, I can't see the impact. Can you try to explain me? what
Yes.
It would be because
So
of that.
what we're illustrating on this plan is the pole mounted height of 20 feet from the elevation at the drive or the parking area. And the cone in purple is the actual light spillage coming out of that. So in the rear or closest to 202, at this point here, which is approximately 50 feet off of the road, you're hitting 0-foot candles.
Okay.
So anything
helps.
out to the road is still zero.
Zero.
There's no light spillage.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, very good.
This is a big one, so I want to make sure no one else has any questions. Let's leave that there for a second.
So I'm trying to look at the lighting plan in
Compare 'em.
conjunction. So it goes from 13 to 14 foot candles at the parking lot, you're saying,
And-
down to,
And that's because they're measured with the light shields on. So the lighting model can take in those shields, which blocks the light from going out the back of the mounting area or minimizes the amount of light that goes out the back.
again, I'm sitting in my car looking to go down the highway and looking up. Will I see?
You're going to see the source of the light if you look for
see
it.
a glow of
Yes,
light?
you're going to see the light if you look for it. but that's going to be the case no matter what's there.
Listen, if it's a foggy night,
You're gonna, well,
you'll see even more.
let me put it this way. When you're driving down 202, if you look over to the Aldi's across the street, you see the lighting in the building there. You'd see the lighting in inside the dealership lights because it's all windows in the front. You're going to see light, yes, when you're driving down 202.
Any other questions or?
I don't know if we convinced her.
Well, I guess I look forward to seeing a revised lighting plan, more in conformance with our ordinance. as
What
the-
she's hoping is you come back 4-1, like I
Well,
said,
Or closer.
or closer,
Closer.
then you'll,
Can I ask a question? Does, if we come back, let's just say 4-1, which I don't know if we can do.
right, if you
Let's-
come back 4-1, you don't need relief from that.
Correct. However, will it address the concern that you have with regard to seeing the light from that location? Because that will only,
Absolutely, because the intensity of the lighting on the site is reduced significantly.
okay, just making sure, because I know the elevation was a big
That was
issue.
an issue.
So I just wanted to make sure,
But I
and since
think-
we're not going to be changing the elevation,
I'll play devil's advocate. When poles were 25 feet tall, were you getting spillage down to the roadway?
It was, we were not getting spillage down to the roadway, no. It was a little bit further than it's showing now, but it was not down to the roadway.
In all fairness, we had issues about visualization too
Yeah.
of the pole.
Correct,
and
that's
you
what I
addressed
under-
it.
make sure.
Yeah,
And Mike,
address it.
so just to be clear, even if it's 4-1, I would still recommend you have this.
that cone to illustrate that.
Yeah,
Yes,
don't remove that cone.
yep,
just so I understand, I mean, they're always going to be shielded.
Right.
yeah,
That's
no,
not gonna
You're
change. That's what
you're always
talking
gonna
about,
have the
right?
down-mounted shields, correct?
Yes,
correct.
Just want to be clear.
yeah,
Just wanna be
absolutely.
clear.
And Razul, if I'm understanding you, you want an updated exhibit too, or is that not correct?
I think that's,
No, they want an update, listen.
Yeah.
They want an updated exhibit because you did the calculation the wrong way.
Lighting
It's-
exhibit.
right, the lighting
Not,
exhibit. No, no.
not exhibit A7.
No,
Okay, I thought you wanted another A7. Okay,
Okay. Because if anything, it's going to get better than that, the more we reduce it.
Yeah.
This is a worst case scenario. Okay, all right. Let's talk about the other impact. You have another exhibit that you've prepared for the board that would be Exhibit A8 that talks about you want to do the sign or you want to do the rear first? Which one you want? The sign? All right. All right, so last time we were here, there was a question with regard to the calculation of the height of the pylon sign.
what exhibit are we working on?
A6.
So you prepared an exhibit to address that question with regard to the calculation, correct?
That's correct.
And that's what we have in front of us is A6. Could you just give the board your information with regard to that?
Sure. So again, it's the same orientation that was shown on the lighting exhibit just before. The Toyota's on the left-hand side here, the Nissan's on the right. We have a cross section running through where the proposed pylon sign is for Toyota, which is here on the left. And it's illustrating where that 25-foot high sign is mounted. And you can see there's an elevation change going down to the elevation at Route 202. And as the ordinance reads, if there's an elevation change of more than 3 feet between the edge of the road and where the sign is mounted, you got to measure from the road elevation up to the top of the sign.
What ordinance section is that? Does anyone on our table know? Loud.
296-164A1. I don't have it exact. I just put a note in the. The whole thing?
Yes.
The maximum height of the ground sign shall not exceed 25 square feet. However, ground signs in industrial, office, and neighborhood business zones shall not exceed 10 feet in height and shall not exceed 6 feet in height in residential zones. The planning board may permit a sign height up to 20 feet where it finds that such height is appropriate to the site and is necessary for reasonable visibility of the activity on the premises. The height of the ground sign shall be measured from the base of the sign to the extreme top of the sign, including framing and structural members. Where the grade from the edge of the existing pavement of the street from which vehicles primarily view the sign to the base of the sign differs by 3 feet or more, height of the sign shall be measured from the grade at the edge of the pavement to the extreme top of the sign, including framing and structural members.
Now I understand why Kelly, for example, we're looking at exhibit A6.
Yes.
That's correct.
Shows the height of the sign from ground level where the sign is to the top of 20.
John,
I understand why he has two measurements. He has one measurement on the cross-sectional view number 1 from the base of the sign, ground elevation at the base to the very top is 24 feet. And then he has another measurement from ground elevation at the edge of the road to the top of the sign of 32.96 feet. It's because of that ordinance section, Kelly?
That is correct.
Okay.
And John, you put the number on for me on the Toyota sign. It is 32.96 feet per the ordinance. On the Nissan sign, again, as you're going down 202 closer to the light, the elevation of the road lowers. The pole mounting elevation is plus or minus the same as a Toyota, but as you lose that additional grade, now the proposed sign for the Nissan is 42.15 feet.
When was this, either Jessica or Jeff, do you know when this ordinance section was adopted and what the reasoning was for that?
I have the date.
I will say, in all my other municipalities, this is the first time I'm seeing a requirement like this. Have you either, Jessica, have you seen in any of your other municipalities anything like this?
You know what? I don't, I'm sorry.
Says it was amended at the
That
time
would
of-
be on here.
Ryan, you're gonna speak up.
It just says it was amended at the time of adoption of the code. but-
Anyone have an idea of why the ordinance would, what the purpose would be? I guess, not have the thing look too, have it look sky high. So the question is, if you lowered it any, does it still serve its purpose as a sign? And if not, if there's some safety thing, do you have someone who could testify about that?
I also want to know what is the height of the sign across the street? Is the,
Because the ordinance says what it says.
I mean, aesthetically, what are we looking at? If the side of, the sign across the street is here, and this sign is sitting up on Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah, I don't know, but the grade is definitely different.
Oh, it is. It definitely is.
Which sign are you talking about?
The sign for the Kohl's Shopping Center.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think we want to,
The elevation is lower over there. So it's gonna, even if it's a 25-foot high sign,
right,
it's gonna look lower
it's
than
going to
the,
look low, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So here's the question.
That's your point.
How much could you lower? Because the ordinance says 25 feet. Both of your signs are 25 feet in actuality, but under the ordinance, they're not. Because view 1 sign, 32.96 feet, almost 33 feet. And the cross-section view 2 is a little more than 42 feet. How much could you lower each sign and still have it serve as a safe sign? So you don't need the extent of those deviations. That's the question.
We will certainly look into that question. The answer very well may be that we cannot change it because this is what's been provided by the manufacturers.
Well, that-
However, if the
right.
board, please,
Right.
if the board feels that in order to grant the relief that we're asking for, they would only grant a lower sign, that is, of course, within the board's purview to do that.
Right, but the board is going to
I
want to
understand.
know,
I understand.
they're going to want to know how low can they go and be safe, because they're not going to want
Got it.
their expert to do that. They're going to want your expert to say, how low can you go and still be safe?
We can look into the
Am I reading
safety
the board the
issue.
right way?
Yes, we can certainly look into the safety issue. I just wanted to put on the record that that may be.
And
the
Kelly,
response.
just a question about the exhibit for interpretation purposes. So I'm assuming the green area is representing the fill area that's going, that the brown is the native earth and the green is the fill?
It was more just a representation that it's going to be vegetated in that area.
Oh,
So the elevation going along here is what the proposed elevation is. I didn't break down what the existing elevation is necessarily on the
Okay.
cross section.
yeah, because I started looking at the
Yeah.
fill. In some places, you've got 8 to 10 feet of fill
Right,
in that area. So,
yes.
So going back to the sign, okay, understand that a business likes to have unity in all their sites. But the sign that we have, both the Toyota and the Nissan, it's just blocks. Sign at the top has their logo, but in the middle, it's just blocks. So I understand you're gonna go back and ask. It just sounds silly that the height can't be changed because there's blank blocks, unless there's, in the future, they're gonna come back and say, I want context in there. But I'm just
As,
saying,
yeah, as of right now, this is the signage package proposal.
yep,
Understand all of your concerns, everybody's concerns, and if the board feels and we look into a safety issue to the extent we can
Yeah.
answer that question, but.
yeah,
we
and
have
we're
a
just
different
saying,
Maximum.
as we've said on other applications, a business has a business model, and that's great.
Yep.
But, you know, it might not work.
And again,
Okay.
certainly within your purview to say the maximum that you're willing to give us a variance for.
Yeah, okay. All right, I think it's a good time to take a break. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. Calling the meeting back to order. All right, where were we?
Good question.
Exactly. Okay.
Sign. You done with the sign?
I think for today.
I think we covered everything again, unless this was prepared to obviously address your concerns. We're going to go back and look at the sign issues, but, you know,
I think you were moving to exhibit A8. That's what I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask a question, and I don't mean to derail you. So you can just say we'll cover it later. But along with the sign height is the flag,
yes.
and I think that's got to be talked about, and we can talk about it later. But I don't know if you want to talk about it now because it's about height.
How high is the proposed flag?
It's complies with the ordinance requirement.
What is that?
A 45-foot high flagpole.
Is the thought processes we're putting the same size flag in this location that we have down at the other location?
You'd have to ask the applicant.
Okay, Karen, could you please ask that question to
Are we
the,
taking the old one and putting it here? Is that
yeah,
basically what you're asking?
is it the same size? Because I was
Same
hoping,
size, okay.
I was hoping it wasn't. But if it's in the ordinance, I guess I can't. I mean, it just seems that all the car dealerships will all have it down there.
You're talking about the physical flag itself.
Yes, sir. What I assume the reason you need the height is to put that size flag there.
That I don't know the answer to. We're just, the ordinance is for the mounting height or how high the pole is itself.
Okay,
But what I'm hearing is the size of the existing, at the existing location, you think is too large.
well, I think they're fine all down there. I mean, it's kind of like, but my concern is that if you bring that up here
Yep.
to the new location, then is somebody who reopens the IHOP going to do the same thing? Is, you know, we're going to be dragging, are we going to turn it into a 202 to a row of gigantic flags versus trees, which we kind of.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Yep.
Okay, where are we going?
I have Exhibit A8 on, and this was previously entered and testified to, but we've since revised it based on comments received at the last hearing. But this is a view shed of,
For the record, the prior exhibit would have been A4, the rear sightline exhibit, and now this is A8 is the profile view. Is that what you're talking about?
correct.
Okay.
So we illustrate what a person standing at the nearest residential property to the south of the site would be seeing, looking through the existing vegetation that is along the southern property boundary, through that regulated area that there's an existing ditch that's regulated by the state and the local ordinance. And there's an approximately 75-foot wide vegetated buffer split between that ditch on either side that buffers this property and the residential properties. Within that area, there's a mixture of deciduous and evergreen trees. I went out to the property again today. Again, I was in the cul-de-sac of Heritage Court. I did not go on the physical properties. But looking from the cul-de-sac or the center of the cul-de-sac out towards the subject property, there's some significant evergreen trees nearest the residential properties, which is buffering the sight line into the subject property. And that's what this cross-section is illustrating. So the purple cone on this is if the site was not obstructed, what the person standing at that nearest house could see. And in between that area, there are existing vegetation, as I testified to, that is protected via both the state regulations and local regulations. And then once you get into the property, we're proposing some additional landscaping. And I'll get into my landscaping testimony in a little bit to provide further information about the landscaping noted in this area.
How did you determine the tree height?
Based on visually going out to there and looking at the height of the trees and measuring it.
Laser or something? A survey?
It was not surveyed by a professional surveyor, but it was measured looking at it with a laser, yes.
So Kelly, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, so looking at your A8 and looking at page 8. Okay,
Yes.
the colored lines that you have, 100%, 100 feet stream buffer and the 75.
Hold on, do you have pages?
Yes. On there.
There you go. Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, okay? What we're saying, trees are going, that are remaining right now will not remain when the road,
They-
the township road.
It, in that exact location where we're showing the cross section, the trees would still remain.
Okay, but then further down, past the cul-de-sac,
Yeah, as you get closer or further to the east, there is a portion that could, thank you. There's a
Yeah.
portion in this area that could be losing some trees.
okay.
But again, that's state regulated again.
Yeah.
So there would be permits required by the state to the DEP or from the town to the DEP for any disturbance in that area.
Okay.
They would likely require mitigation of some sort, which is usually additional vegetation, whether that's in that area or somewhere else in the township.
Okay, so I just want to confirm, on page 8, the orange line. I believe 100 feet,
That would be the local town's 100-foot stream buffer.
and that matches your orange line on A8.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to check.
And what sheet 8 doesn't show is on the neighboring property to the south, there's the same buffers that aren't shown here. We're just showing what's affecting our property. So basically that 100-foot line that for the town is a 200-foot strip at that point to the neighboring property.
Kelly, can you go to the plan set sheet 7? I believe that shows trees to be removed and trees to remain. And I believe that shows trees to remain in the area where you're saying they're remaining. Can you just confirm that? Keller, how hard would it be to put the site plan sheet A7 up there? Kelly, she's gonna put it up there. It might be.
Surprisingly, I came prepared. I'm not even a Boy Scout.
On A7, can you show them the trees that you testified are gonna remain, assuming that that road gets constructed?
Sheet 7, not A7.
Yeah, sheet 7.
Yeah. So if the road gets, again, this is the same orientation, so top of the page is Route 202. The rear, or the bottom of the page is the southern portion of the property. This area is that 100-foot buffer that Cynthia was just referring to. Everything south of that is to remain as part of this this project. There's nothing being removed as far as trees along the southern boundary. And that's on the opposite side of the 100-foot wide JCP&L electrical easement that's running through the property, which further.
Just for purposes of clarity of the record, that road we're talking about, that's the master plan road?
Correct.
Anyone have any more questions about this?
Landscaping testimony you want to provide?
So a question, and I don't know if you're gonna cover it later or not. How many trees are you gonna move? Is that coming later?
Are we removing?
Yeah.
I'll put testimony on, or we already put testimony on about the mature canopy that was being removed as a percentage, but I will give you the caliper inches of removal that are required for the tree replacement ordinance and what we're giving back.
Okay, so that's coming later.
Yeah, it's coming pretty much in the next 5 minutes. if
Yeah, I
can
guess
get
it's
to
a
it.
perfect segue to get into that. Perfect segue to go
You
there.
know, when I ask, I have concerns, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
know
I
that.
understand.
Yeah.
All right. So sheet 13 of 37, this is the overall landscaping plan has been submitted to the board. The applicant's proposing a landscaping plan to landscape the property. We're proposing some street trees along the frontage with a mixture of low-lying shrubs. There was a comment in Tim Kay's, Mr. Kay's memo about potentially trying to swap the size and adjust the size of these street trees, which we would gladly work with his office
Yeah,
on.
and just to clarify that the trees I want to increase in size are large shrubs, small ornamental trees, flowering trees. Typically, you plant them at 6 to 8 feet. So they've agreed pretty much to increase the size. So that'll make a more immediate impact in there.
In addition to the street trees along the frontage, there's some canopy trees within the parking islands, along with some low-lying shrubs. And those are spread out throughout all of the parking and display areas. In the rear, along the large banked display area with the 4 stacked, there is an area that Tim's memo noted that they would recommend having a minimum width of 20 feet in that island area. And we're agreeing to adjust the layout a little bit to provide that 20-foot minimum in that island area. And I believe that was comment 72 in the most recent memo.
Yes, correct.
All right, so now I'll get into some numbers here. So as far as the landscaping within the parking area, the applicant is proposing approximately 12.05% of the landscaping area as measured towards the total parking area, where 15% is required. So we're just under 3% below what the requirement is.
If someone's gonna ask you, so I might as well ask you, what's the problem with complying, going to 15%?
And aren't there two standards?
And are
There's-
there? Yes.
There's- Okay,
Yeah.
so you're going to address the next standard for
Yes.
the landscaping islands?
Yeah, but first thing, that question.
Well, we would have to lose additional stalls, or we have to expand the limited disturbance to provide the same number of stalls and add in the islands to add the additional canopy trees.
How many stalls do you think you'd lose to get up to the 15% of the landscaping, 15% of the parking area?
I'd be guessing, I'd say somewhere in the 10 to 15 range.
Is that like a killer?
If you ask the applicant, I would say that they think that's a killer.
Based on
So-
what we had talked about before the break, why don't we ask that?
We can ask that
Okay.
certainly, and we have asked
Yeah.
that of
That's a
them.
I
big
guess,
deal.
so there's, just to be clear, there's two different standards the applicant is required to meet. One is the 15% of the parking of the total area landscape, in addition to the landscape islands at one every 8 feet.
It's both, but the way you get to that 15% is utilizing that 1 to 8. So we're
But you
also
don't-
are not providing islands every 8 stalls.
So just to be clear, I think our interpretation of the ordinance is there's two areas, correct, that you have to provide landscaping. One is the perimeter areas, and then the second is the landscape islands.
Correct.
They agree. And they're applying for relief from both.
Okay, you're requiring for relief from both,
Correct.
because the 15% is one of them.
Right.
Because all your landscape, I just, I apologize, but I know in the past, our landscape architect has been very clear about what's included in that 15% and what is not included. And I could have a faulty memory, which some would say I do. But I.
I
thought
would
the-
never say that.
Oh, yeah, but I would say the landscape islands generally aren't included in that 15% requirement. That it's there in addition.
The way I read the ordinance is you're required to have up to 15% of the parking area needs to have an equivalent landscaped area within that parking area.
Listen, let's get the ordinance out.
Yeah.
We've been doing so well with that. Let's keep
Yep.
going.
Yeah.
Let's go to the videotape.
There you
Let's
go.
go to the ordinance. Everything starts and finishes
Bless
at the
you.
ordinance.
Thank you.
Question, you still want
So
this
for-
on the screen? John, you guys still want this?
Yeah. I just know we've had applicants that had it, for example, Chimney Rock wasn't meeting the 15%, but they did the landscape islands. They met with that. And one did not flow to the other
Right,
necessarily.
we're gonna have Jeff's gonna find the 2 ordinance sections and we're gonna read them. We're gonna
Okay. And there's also some updated ordinances around that.
figure it out.
Oh, you wouldn't
Can I-
trigger you.
Continue in the meantime, or should I just
Sure.
wait?
No, yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. So in addition to the 15,
Hold on.
go,
He's
thanks.
got it. What's the ordinance section?
Good job, Jeff.
296-75. Or, oh,
Wait, move that microphone right to him.
296,
4-0.
296-75D for,
D or B?
D as in dog.
D is in dog. I thought it was B as in boy. D is in dog for the small letter O.
Oh.
What's it say?
Off-street parking lots designed to accommodate more than 25 vehicles shall be landscaped so that landscaping equal to at least 15% of the parking area is provided in the manner specified below. The landscaping plan should specify in detail what areas are proposed to be included in the 15% parking area calculation. A graphic depiction of eligible parking lot landscaping areas described below are on file with the planning board. The parking area is that area devoted to parking spaces, aisles, and space backup area, and shall generally consist of such areas within curbing but excluding building, access aisles leading from a street to the parking area, pedestrian walkways, and landscaping areas.
So it excludes landscaping areas or includes?
Excludes.
Yeah, and then it goes to one, in calculating the landscape area, the following may be included. A, landscaping within the parking area consisting of landscaped islands between rows of parking spaces and islands at the end of parking rows.
So that means, and just so I'm clear, that means that the islands in the parking areas are excluded from the calculation of parking area of which 15% must be landscaped.
No, it's including. It's included.
Kelly's right.
Kelly's right. See,
You might be shocked, but he's right.
keep going now.
I know. he
So
is.
the-
No, I
Keep going.
B, landscaped areas which may extend into the parking area from the perimeter of the paved area, even though such may be outside of the parking lot curbed area, and landscaped areas where parking lot curbed areas are extended would intersect. Examples are included in the buffer yard planning guidelines on file with the planning board. Landscape areas other than those illustrated may also be used as part of the required landscaping if approved by the planning board. In determining whether to include such areas as part of the required parking lot landscaping, the planning board shall find that such areas is so located and landscaped as to contribute to the objective of the parking areas be landscaped. Wow.
The landscape aisles which are required, every 8 stalls be included in the 50% parking area requirement.
Yes.
So meaning, again, the landscaping in those islands can be counted towards the 15% of the parking area. Okay.
That's what it appears to be.
So was there any effort made or assessment done on how many landscape islands this project would have been to comply with the 1 every 8 feet?
We looked at it and we presented it to the applicant to break up the parking areas. It was a no-go for them.
John, get that microphone.
John, microphone.
For argument's sake, I'm not putting words in the board's mouth and I'm not predicting anything, that the board was willing in this particular case to grant relief from the landscape islands for every 8 stalls, but was not willing to grant relief from the 15% landscape requirement. Where does the landscaping have to be? Does it have to be in any particular part of that parking area?
Well, I think it would probably be in that lower area. And that's, I think what you were getting at before, you could add, get rid of some of the stalls on the bottom. It's much better to have a big island to landscape than little 9-foot wide islands. Because every time you go into a parking lot, you look at them and they're filled with dead trees because they just don't have the soil volume. So what you want is a big area and mass the planting in that area, which that lower area would provide.
So put it this way, again, not speaking on behalf of the board, but do you think Kelly thinks to comply with the 15%, they have to lose stalls? Do you think they can comply with the 15% without losing stalls?
Right.
I don't think that's going to do your calculation. You might have to lose some more, but
maybe.
I-
You wanna-
Yeah, so I think,
This is one of those exceptions. This is one of the 3 in the letter from the engineer and landscape architect that we were not willing to
Yeah, I
comply
understand.
with. So
yeah, so
specifically, just so everyone's on the same page, which one it is, that specifically is item 72.
correct. So again,
Yeah, I guess I just have to, I'm gonna,
No, but
Put it-
we're going to get back to
Okay.
we're getting back to the landscape islands every 8 stalls.
But the
I want to start
intent-
with the 15%.
yeah, but the intent of the 15% has always been based on the fact that we will get landscape islands within the parking areas to reduce the heat island effects, to reduce stormwater, to improve water quality, to improve the aesthetics. We have a great example of how we required Target
Yeah.
to put new landscape islands in, and that site looks phenomenal with the
Mhm.
new areas and the extended that now complies. So I guess that's where, yes, you can stuff landscaping around the edge of your property, But does that meet what the intent and the purposes of why we asked for those landscaping islands to begin with? And I just think, I get it, the use is what it is, but there could be a better effort on some of these long runs to get some landscaping islands in there.
Yeah, Jeff, can you read section 4 of that
Yeah,
same ordinance?
before he does. If you had landscape islands every 8 stalls, how many landscape islands would you have to put in?
I think you can ask
I
Don.
can't do that off the top of my head, John.
Don't worry, Donna did.
Hmm?
Donna.
Yeah,
Okay, and if you did that,
thank you.
if you did that, it would bring you well over the 15%, correct?
That's correct.
So let's say that, for argument's sake, you put in landscape islands every 8 stalls. And you wanted to comply with the 15%, but not go over it. Where would you eliminate landscaping to keep the landscaping at 15% of the parking area and not go over?
We would widen this this landscape island in the rear, which, sorry, big island you were talking about
No,
from
no, no.
Hawaii.
You're missing my question.
Yeah.
If the board required, if the board said we are not granting an exception from the landscape islands every 8 stalls,
Right.
and you actually had to put in landscape islands every 8 stalls, I assume if you did that on the current plan, it would bring your percentage of landscaping in the parking area way over 15%. If you're at 12.05% now, and you had to add a landscape island every 8 stalls, in your opinion, would that bring the total percentage of landscape parking area over 15%?
Yes, I think I answered that already, but
Right.
yeah,
So that's the setup for my question.
okay.
So if you then actually did propose landscape islands every 8 stalls, and that put you way over the 15% in the landscape, in the parking area, and the ordinance only requires that you have 15%, where would you eliminate landscaping to bring it back down to 15%? Not eliminating the landscape islands, eliminating other landscaping, so you wouldn't be over to 15%. Where would you eliminate it?
And then still be in compliance with all provisions of the
Yes,
ordinance.
I mean,
So it's a either or.
yes.
the logical area would be along the frontage, because you would want to have additional visibility to the car display storage area. So we would be losing some street trees and some low-lying plantings along the frontage.
Couldn't you, would there be an opportunity to make the planting island in the rear smaller? So that therefore you had space to put planting islands in? And that would also, probably some good design, let you think about.
I think we're actually thinking the opposite. We're proposing to make that island in the rear even larger than it is now and put additional planting in there, as well as additional evergreen planting to help buffer with the residential properties in the rear.
I think the point is that we may need a little design tweaking, because if we can go back and look to see how we can put islands every 8 stalls, but that may end up necessitating or allowing, for lack of a better word, us to remove landscaping elsewhere that you may also like. So I want to make sure that that's a dance that we do in such a way that we don't sacrifice something you like on the plan just to put something else there. So, you know, maybe if we could kind of get a gauge from the board as to which they would prefer.
This might be a straw polling issue.
I actually have one more question that might contribute to the straw poll decision. I was wondering if, given all the fill and the benefit of deep rooted trees, especially those shade trees, to stabilize and protect the soil and keep it from eroding and so forth, where would the fill and the steep slope characteristics of the property warrant landscaping in certain areas over others, just because of that soil stability and protecting and preventing erosion in those steeper slope areas would benefit.
Well, I think in that front area, you've got, I put 3-to-1 slopes. So you have to be careful if you want to put larger trees, you got to think of the width of that root ball. Typically, if you get a 2.5, 3-inch caliber tree, they're talking about 34-inch wide root ball. Now, if you think about 3-to-1, that's the root ball is going to be sticking out of the ground. So that's one reason you want it up at the top, I guess, because you can get a little more of a level area.
Could the use of structural, if planting islands are put in, given that this whole site is filled, could structural soil be used in planting islands? Similar to what we saw used on the Target project?
Yeah, you can do that. But I guess if you move, you're taking away asphalt here, and if you're going to comply with 15%, then you're going to add it somewhere else. So I'm not sure you're really gaining anything. And again, my belief is the bigger the planting area, the faster the growth, the more stable you can come in, and you don't have to have structural soil. You can come in with regular soil. Because when you're in the middle of the parking lot, you got sub base gravel, and it's like putting a tree in a container, and it's going to be stunning unless you expand it out into the paved area. And I don't know, like, the width of the islands. What's the typical width of an island? It's like parking
10, yeah.
10 feet. So now, again, you got that little area, and you got trees in there, they need water, right? Good soil. So I'm not a big proponent in the middle. I think, around the edges, I think you're much better off.
Well, I guess my desire is to comply with our ordinance, and
I believe you guys should straw poll. If you have any other questions, ask them. And each person put your opinion on what you think about it.
I'm gonna say something. I'm very uncomfortable straw polling right now. I'll give my views why.
Okay.
I'm hearing the expert because I'm looking at what's the basic reason of why we're doing this. And that's what you are saying as an expert. On the other end, I'm also looking for consistency and visual, because your target looks very good. So I'm not there yet. What I would suggest is the chair lady showed me how many we have, and I can totally understand why Donna is making that comment. There's practically none. I'm overdoing it. There are few, which visually doesn't look right. On the other hand, I'm all for listening to the experts, right? That's my track record, and I'm kind of torn. So I would rather you guys sit offline, figure out a good way to show this, okay? In terms of maybe adding few more where the parking is versus what we're gonna give by doing that because of aesthetic.
And if you're going to go with the island, I wouldn't do a 10-foot, one every 8.
That's why you guys work it out and come back,
Maybe
okay?
every 20, make a bigger island.
Just
And then,
figure
again,
out what makes sense. But whatever it is right now, I totally agree with my colleague. It's not right. And at the same time, I don't want to lose the benefit of what you're talking about. So you guys have to figure out how to get.
All right, so scratch the straw polling, but why doesn't everyone at least express their feelings so everyone
So
else
that's my
knows?
feeling.
Yeah, that's your feeling.
Yeah.
I would be open to consideration of less but larger. I am definitely in favor of the landscape islands. We were adamant about Target, how they just clear the parking lot and it looks, we hate to say it, we're a community of trees. We always talk about the trees. They're very important here. That would be my opinion. James, you want to go?
Our regular landscape architect for a long time has been a big proponent of the islands, and I agree with that. And it's consistent across the township. We've always stressed it. What I would like to see is if you can present possibly a range of options that would work. Maybe larger islands, smaller islands, no islands, a lot of islands. I'm open to you guys presenting a couple options if that's feasible for you. I don't know if it is or not. And then maybe we can kind of find a middle ground somewhere. But I do think that there's a middle ground to be found here, but I strongly think that we should do everything we can to get islands in there, because as Donna Drews was saying, it helps.
When you say that, you also mean get enough islands to bring the total up to 15% of the parking area?
Yes, I'm not,
And Donna, I want to, Donna, is that also?
Yeah,
Is that?
so it's when you're looking at it, yes, we want to see compliance with our landscaping provisions that's consistent with what our township has been getting, requiring out of applicants for a number of years. And this is also compounded with the fact that relief is being asked for parking stacking of 4 in a row. So we're seeing the whole rear of the building is a sea of asphalt. So that's where, in my perspective, we could deal with, because people are going to be coming right through that
I
area.
just want to make sure you're not suggesting
Exceed.
parking landscape islands to bring the total landscaping over 15%, just up to the ordinance is what you're
Correct.
suggesting.
I mean, they can do more, but
Yes.
we're not asking them to,
Right.
no.
And
about
before we go to Laura, I also want to consider, and what something James said is there the possibility that they're only in certain areas? Do we, like you said, what is an option? Is it where the people are parking is the most important? Is the storage, this display in the back, not it, whatever the option, we need to just look at them. I'm sorry, Loretta, I didn't mean to stop
No, I
you from going.
appreciate what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah. Lorette, what about you? What's your
I-
feelings?
I think that there's a couple opportunities where some slightly larger islands could tee into the perimeter islands. And I think that would benefit not only that, bringing trees into the heart of the site a little bit to alleviate some of that heat island effect. But also, I think that becomes by integrating the landscaping areas, even more beneficial from a stormwater perspective, and also using the trees for the root structure benefits.
Jim?
So I
Jim?
they're
They're not done yet. You got Jim and Randy to go. Jim?
Yeah.
Jim,
no, I think you have the concept of mixing up.
Jim, microphone.
Keep thinking that.
You don't. Yell at us.
I very much like the idea.
You're good. Don't toss it.
Oh. I very much like the idea. As Jim mentioned, mixing up the size of this design, but I don't think we should be doing anything more than the 15% work required. But I think that's an option. We really should be exploring one of the options.
You guys don't think they should do more than 15%?
Thank you.
Yeah, no more.
Okay, Randy?
I agree with my colleagues have to say. Basically, I agree with all the different ideas that they have. But the one thing, maybe I'm crazy, but have a larger tree with landscaping, and to make it look like Target, more feasible. That's all.
Okay. Good, we're good.
I want to add one thing to this conversation, and that is, this is not simply an exception. Because of the conditional use standards, one of the standards is that you have to comply with all the zoning ordinance regulations. And another one is you have to comply with all the site plan design standards. This is also part of their D3 conditional use variance. In other words, if they're seeking relief from the landscaping, which normally in a non-D3 variance case would simply be an exception. This is part of the D3 relief they need. So it's a bigger deal than it normally is.
Thank you. All right, next, just one quick question. I heard something at some point talking about getting to a point where we add additional landscaped islands to bring the 12.05
To 15.
up to 15.
Right.
So that's what we should be focusing on right now. Obviously, we understand that we can do
Well,
more.
Right, but a couple board members said options. I heard someone say,
Yeah,
in addition, get rid of some of the stuff in the back and put a couple more islands. They're not asking you to go over 15%, but they're not, at least Donna Drews is not simply saying, give me enough islands to bring it up to 15%. She's saying she wants the 15%, but maybe she wants more islands and just, the minimum there, maybe you get rid of some landscaping in the back. I don't think they're going to want you to get rid of landscaping in the front.
And I just wanted to quickly add
Am I
on to
right?
Donna, just to make sure. So because the rear of the site is being used for, we're going to call it display, would you be looking for more of the islands in the front of the site where people can see from the road, or would putting in
Good
the rear
question.
work? Just kind of what were the thoughts of
Thank you.
where,
Yeah.
I guess from a visual perspective, if this is going to be at some point in the future, we will have a township road
Oh, in the
through
back.
there
Ah.
to see a sea of asphalt. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
how many hundred, 100 and some feet? Not 100, that's
She's
exactly.
She's right, the backyard won't
Yeah,
always be the
174
backyard.
parking
The
spaces.
rear won't always be the rear, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it isn't really. So in the
okay.
future, when the road goes
You're
in,
right.
what's it gonna look like? And so that's, again,
Good point.
part of the consideration of the large asphalt area.
Also, it's shade and cooling in a large asphalt area.
And we do, just to point out, we do have landscape islands in a parking lot with porous pavement. So that's target.
Bear with us 1 second.
Okay.
all right, there's a couple things we just want to clarify here.
Mhm.
So I think I heard up to 15% is where we want to be. When it comes to the 1 and 8, if we added, I'm just making up a number now, 8 landscaped islands, and that gets up to the 15%, but we're still not meeting the 1 for every 8 parking stalls, where does that get us?
Closer.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get to. It seems like it gets us closer, but it seems that
Right, but Raul said he doesn't want to straw poll that
I
until he
understood.
sees. And
Understood.
I wanna see
what Jim
visual.
said
wanna see
is that he
options, yep.
wants to see options.
Well, and then that's my next question. When we say options, does that mean we're coming to another board meeting with a revised plan?
Oh, absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
That's-
no, no.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
No. Let me finish here.
Oh.
I don't want to come with 5 different options and then sit here and waste another meeting and then waste another 6 months before we get another hearing on the landscaping. I'd rather work out these options before the next hearing. So how do we do that?
Right. How do you do that?
can,
Because because you can't ask the board professionals to advocate some position, because what if the board doesn't want it? I mean, I guess you could ask to have a meeting with a subcommittee of the board on it. If there were objectors out in the audience, I might feel differently. But what if the subcommittee, you can't, the board can't be bound. If they give you informal input, they can't be bound, the rest of the board can't be bound by it, so you might still have that situation.
and you're absolutely right. And by the same token, I think that all Kelly is trying to say is and I understand we don't want to do a straw poll, and that's fine, but maybe if somebody could say, we'd like to see, or we can agree on more
Well,
islands
can I
in
tell
the
you,
front.
Donna Drews wants, if you asked her, she wants all the
She
islands.
wants 1 for 8,
Okay.
and she wants at least 15%.
You know,
That I got.
Right.
That one I got
mean,
down.
The reality is, we've granted relief before for the 1 per 8, and we have done it for other applicants. But there was a striving to try and at least show you're respecting our ordinance and putting some islands in. There are some here, there's no question. I like, some of them look kind of good, and you've kind of gotten creative, like with the one in between the building. But,
Could we get some ideas to whether people would like to see more in the front or in the back? I mean, could we at least get some direction?
Can I stop you, please? I'm not willing to give any
Okay,
ideas.
all right, we'll work on it.
I think Donna opened my eyes too, that, hey, eventually whatever you're saying is back is gonna look like front. So we need to think about that. But Jim,
So,
you
so we're
articulated
going to
better than
design
me
the
too.
rear based
Give us
upon
few
a
options.
potential roadway that may never be built. Okay.
Again, show us something, okay? Show us a few scenarios and we're willing to work with you. Even Donna, who was very steadfast, says, show me and then we can figure out.
Okay, and now this is more just a clarification of measuring and calculating landscape islands. Parking stall is 9 by 18. If we have double stacked parking and we're taking up 2 stalls back to back, is that 1 landscape island or is that 2 landscape islands?
It meets the 1 per 8 because each row of parking has
So you're going based on the number of parking stalls, is what you're saying there?
typically, and you've been here before and done that.
Yeah, no, I know.
where
I want to make sure I'm on the same
It
page when I come
typically is a
here.
double space, but if you say there's a better way of doing it,
Here's the issue. The board has never had a stacked parking plan.
No, yeah, you have. You have 2 stalls back to back all the time.
all right.
Maybe
well,
not 4
no,
deep,
not 4 deep.
maybe not 4
Right.
deep, but I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, so when
Yeah.
it's 2 front and front, we get a planting island.
Let's take a certain section and let's make sure we're perfectly clear. So let's look
So-
at one section.
If we're looking at this area, right, we got a row here and a row here, and there's an island that's covering plus or minus 4 stalls. Is that 1 island or is that 2 islands?
The minimum, I'm reading from that same witness section, the minimum width of landscape islands shall be 10 feet. 1 landscape island shall be placed for every 8 parking spaces. Seems to me, a double stack space is 2. A 4 stack space is 4. It's spaces. That's what the ordinance says. If you ask me, my legal opinion, that's my legal opinion.
Thank you.
That's helpful.
So we're good? You guys know?
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't even, should I even get into tree removal at this point? 'Cause no.
Listen,
Yeah.
you should, I think.
Yeah.
You think you should definitely hear what they have to think and what they have to say and feel about tree removal. If you're coming back anyway, if you don't do that, then you're gonna find out
need to
about it
cover
for the
that.
first time when you come back.
All right, so actually, let me bring another fireball up real quick. The irrigation system, the applicant is still against installing the irrigation system. And anecdotally, from my understanding and talking to them, they have had sites that have irrigation systems and they become a maintenance nightmare and they end up ripping them out immediately. So rather than install it now.
Why are they a maintenance nightmare?
Yeah.
With the landscaping equipment and the maintenance equipment grabs the lines and rips them out, and then they get broken and have to get repaired, is my understanding.
Maybe they don't, maybe they don't have careful people doing their landscape maintenance.
I'll have Tony talk about that a little bit more when he gets here. I think the point that he was just trying to make is that we have gone to our client and that's what they have specifically said, which is why they prefer to do the actual irrigation work themselves on a regular basis and will obviously agree to replace whatever plantings die within X period of time. But the irrigation system and their lack of enthusiasm about it
Okay, let
is
me- let
not
me
a
ask-
cost issue.
Let me ask you
It
this.
is
There's a 2-year maintenance bond.
correct.
But if they're not going to put the irrigation system in, would they agree to perpetual maintenance of the landscaping? They're
They're
not,
gonna do
not
that
limited,
anyway.
not limited to 2 years. Perpetual
I will
maintenance.
certainly ask that, but I'm telling you, that's what they would do anyway. So I will ask that question.
Why don't you get to the real fireball issue?
All right, so the mature canopy, we previously talked about the removal.
What sheet? So it's sheet 7, right?
Yes.
I believe the board secretary is going to put sheet 7 up on the screen. I think she's in the process of doing that right now, if I'm right.
long as we don't get Windows updates in the middle of the,
Oh, God.
all right, at one of the previous hearings, we talked, or I testified to the percentage of the tree canopy removal. That has not changed as part of the site plan changes.
Okay, so what is the percentage of the tree canopy removal?
64.21%.
What?
Give it to me again.
64.
64.
Point.
21, I heard
21%.
54, it's 64.21% canopy removal. And the maximum allowed is what?
55%.
Okay, so the obvious question is, why do you have to do that? What would happen if you complied and only removes 55% and not 64.21%?
The site doesn't work. We have the existing JCP&L easement is encumbering the majority of the property, and everything outside of that area is a developable area. Within the property, there's a large area that was previously cleared, which is no longer mature canopy, and that's in the middle of the site. To build the development around that area, along with tying in on the cross-access driveway on the neighboring property, which is court ordered, this entire area has to be disturbed.
So if you made the dealership buildings smaller
Smaller.
and you eliminated parking spaces, what would, you could get closer to 55%, correct?
Could we get closer? Yes.
How close? Another, again, how low is the applicant willing to go? That's going to be the ultimate question.
Yes, that's the question.
Yeah, I think they're at the limit. I don't think they're willing to go any lower, is my
Like, they
understanding.
might not be willing, but what's the planning argument going to be for the 64.21% canopy removal? I mean, is it going to be a hardship argument?
We're not going to testify to that now. We'll let our planner do that.
I understand, but I'm just saying because it seems to me that would be a self-created hardship that you're going to have to deal with because you want a certain size of buildings and you want a certain number of parking spaces. And the way I see it, that's driving the 64.21%. So is there, if it's not that, what is it? So someone's going to have to come up with a justification for that relief. And again, it's D3. It's not simply the underlying relief. It's also, why would the site remain appropriate for a conditional use where the conditional use ordinance contemplates compliance with everything? So you find out from the client if well, first of all, this is me speaking. The board should speak.
Getting late. I
Well-
totally agree with what you're saying.
Say again?
I agree with you. I'm not gonna repeat anymore.
Yeah, ditto.
If I, if I remember, the testimony last time was that the current, I want to say buildings, was 82,000, and they're going down to 61,000.
Give or take. That's it's on architectural plans, but that sounds about right. They're definitely less square footage in this proposal than we currently have.
But they also testified that they
Speaker,
didn't use,
microphone.
they also testified they didn't use the third story of the existing building.
Exactly.
So we have to
thank
get
you.
apples to apples, not apples to
Thank you.
oranges.
All right, thank you. All right.
So the question is valid. And that's at least my view from a board point of view. Why not smaller buildings?
If board members disagree, tell them.
I don't think so.
Well, I think we have a lot of concerns with trees now because of the
Mhm.
previous issue we had from another applicant.
Well, put it on the record. What application might you be talking about? Maybe the Pioneer application?
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that one.
So,
Just for the record,
Neither am
Kara,
I.
you were the attorney for Pioneer, correct?
Correct.
And the board granted an exception from the 55% tree removal and allowed tree removal of what? Anyone remember the percentage?
More than that.
Hmm?
I was going to say
82%. And then what happened? Once you start cutting trees down, it's kind of hard sometimes to keep to the limit, and they went over that,
Didn't
correct?
they also cut down trees on another property?
Correct. And again, not that
So
they're
I'm
judging.
sorry, but you're getting the,
In other words, the board had a bad experience the last time they granted one of these exceptions.
I
and
understand.
It's apparently making them nervous, and there's just gonna have to be a very strong justification to go from 55 to 64.21. That's what I'm
yeah,
sensing.
I hate to say it, that's what it comes down to. And since you're coming back, I'd hate to say that you'd have to investigate that. Where if we grant it, I mean, I don't even know how we're gonna manage it, because it obviously didn't work last time.
Yeah,
That's a
and
good
Right
question.
now, at least in my head, and I'm just talking for myself, that's not even an option. So that's why give us something which says you can be creative. And then if we're closer, then we can talk, right? We will, but right now, we're not there.
okay.
And
I think we are being creative with what we have on the property.
Be
There's,
more creative.
let me ask
getting
you,
late.
let's
Yeah.
assume the board was willing to grant some relief from the 55%. What kind of proposal could you guys come up with to make them feel confident that whatever they granted, more than that wouldn't be cut? Can you guys come up with some proposal to give them that?
yeah, I mean, we could put a requirement that there needs to be, at the very least, like a staked out area with tree protection fencing installed prior to site clearing activities at the limit of disturbance. And that would have to be maintained throughout all of the site construction activities.
And just to clarify too, so our office has only been involved with the township for a couple of years now. Throughout all of our pre-construction meetings that we've had with developers coming in, the thing that we always include is that the limits of disturbance do need to get staked out before construction. And then our office, as well as John Morgan Thomas, or in this case, it'll be Tim or Jeff, or we'll go out and actually walk the site, review the limits of disturbance. Tree fencing has to get put up for tree protection, silt fencing goes up, and then that has to be maintained throughout the entire construction process to ensure that no additional trees are actually getting cleared.
John, did you
So-
get that for the?
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah, I
It's gonna
wrote
be
it
in
down.
the
That's
resolution.
good. That makes
Yeah.
me feel better.
And
Yeah,
then,
it does.
and also the Hunterdon County Soil Conservation District, they'll also come out and walk the site as well to make sure. So this is one of the big things I know, especially with what recently happened.
Mhm.
This is the first thing that we talk about at every pre-construction meeting now, just to make sure that everybody's aware
Good,
and we bring
thank
up
you.
that there was a bad experience and it's not going to happen again. So.
But still, the excess still exists.
Yeah, no, and I understand the concern, but it's not as simply as looking at a flat piece of paper and saying, well, just make less trees go away or keep as many trees as possible. There's stormwater management, there's site improvement stuff,
I
there's
understood, but
elevation
it's-
changes.
But isn't it all driven by the size of the buildings and the number of parking spaces? Doesn't that drive the number of trees that have to be taken down? If the buildings were smaller and there were less paved parking spaces, less trees would have to come down. True?
True.
That's it.
So
Mhm.
caliper trees. We're currently we're proposing to remove 2,815 caliper inches of trees. The applicant's proposing to replace 2,716 caliper inches of trees using 3-inch caliper trees in accordance with the ordinance. The deficit, the applicant would agree to either work with the township to plant additional trees off-site or pay into the township tree fund in accordance with the ordinance.
And what is that deficit as it currently stands without any revisions?
It is on,
Because obviously this changes depending upon what the revisions may be. Sorry, Kelly, I thought you had that handy.
yeah, I should. That's my fault.
No, it's okay. Going outside the box here a little bit.
That would be 99 caliper inches is the deficit, which if you divide by 3, which would be the 3 caliper inches, is plus or minus 33 additional trees.
Okay, thank you.
Donna, I think you should say, I heard you say, you should say that too.
Lorette said it.
So whoever said it, say it into microphone, please.
So my thought was, can we use a trade-off to some of the tree replacement requirements be met by adding some islands that go above the 15%?
Huh.
Something we can look into.
And that is thinking outside the box.
And just for my edification, based on the ordinance requirements, would the types of trees that could be successfully planted in an island of the width required qualify as a replacement tree?
I don't know. Anyone know? Maybe we'll have to look into that.
Depending what kind of trees.
Can we look into that?
Yeah. Can our landscape expert look into that? Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
I think that concludes what I had prepared for tonight.
Well, that's perfect timing since it's 9:40. Maybe we'll get done early.
Kelly, I just had one last thing since we're gonna be coming back.
Are we?
For the parking, I remember in the very beginning, I forgot to mention it about making sure that the parking for the display is going to be marked. If we can just add whatever that's going to be to the plan. I know
Sure.
that would be something we would ask before construction anyway, but we should just get it so that way everybody has to look at it.
That's fine.
Hey, Kelly, thank you for your professionalism.
Yeah.
Really
No, not a
appreciate
problem.
that.
And next meeting, are we going to talk about the construction site logistics package and the
Traffic.
impact of the fill trucks?
Well, unless you want to talk about it now, since you do have
Traffic.
13 minutes.
That was the last question that I did have here to deal with, that we did submit that
You
site
know what?
logistics package.
I-
We could also
We
go
can
through.
wait.
the
Why don't you
other-
just try to start talking about
We
it
have
now,
three,
so you can-
yeah, we have 3 people who have questions about
Okay,
that.
yeah, let's do that,
Yeah.
please.
So Kelly, you okay with?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll just go quickly through the only things from an engineering perspective that we are not willing to address in the reports, to the extent we haven't already.
Okay, Donna, I think you and Rasul have the same kind of question. Donna, you
So
wanna-
let's just say, are we talking about the construction site logistics package dated May 30th, 2025? Is that what we're
Yes.
talking about?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Go ahead, Donna.
Well, are you going to present?
Yeah, why don't you, can you summarize?
You're talking about.
At the last hearing, there was concerns over the amount of fill that was testified to. And the way I understood it, the logistics of getting the fill in and out, or the fill into the property. So this document we prepared that illustrates the hauling routes into the property as well as out of the property for the anticipated tandem axle trucks that would be bringing in the fill. As you can see on those images in this report, A1, A2, A3, and A4, there's arrows showing the northbound and southbound lanes along with circulation paths. The anticipation is all the construction traffic would be on 202 and or the county roads, and it wouldn't be on any local roads in and out of the property to get the construction vehicles and the fill into the property. In addition to that, there was a conversation over how much fill was coming into the site and how it was going to be handled. So we kind of took a look at the overall cubic yardage based on the current grading plan. and how many trucks would be required based off of that. And we estimated approximately 800 total trucks. The traffic report or the traffic engineer can testify further. In their report, they broke down how that would be handled as the trucks come from a traffic perspective into the site. We didn't get into that perspective.
Well, I thought I saw something in someone's report saying it was going to be approximately 8 to 10 trucks a day, so it would take 6 months.
That's the traffic engineer's report.
Oh, that was, okay.
So Kelly is,
I thought I
um,
saw it somewhere.
to build upon, so in the plans that you've prepared on page sheet 19 of 37, it includes your construction schedule. And could you interpret what weeks within that construction schedule you anticipate fill being brought into the site?
By the way, what page is his report? Is that construction schedule?
It's the sequence of construction on sheet 19 of 37, which is on the soil erosion and sediment control notes plan.
Okay, got it.
Do you know the answer?
Yeah, so, I mean, it would occur during items 4 through 8. There would be fill activity on the property within that sequence of construction.
So help me understand then, if you're raising the elevation of the whole site,
Well, this can't be right.
wouldn't you be having the fill in place before you start constructing your improvements and your stormwater and all that stuff?
You're going to work and raise the site in stages. There's other improvements, subgrade that have to get installed as well. So it doesn't come in and then all of a sudden it's 10 feet higher. You have to do it little by little in 1 foot lifts so that the fill is compacted properly.
Right.
And as they're doing that, there's other activities on the site as the property is being
Kelly,
filled.
are you sure that you're still going to be importing fill in sequence of construction 8? The reason I ask is because in the traffic impact assessment, it says that the approximately 800 truckloads of fill are going to be generated over a 6-month period with 8 to 10 truckloads per day. But your construction sequence 8, construction of site improvements in the car dealership buildings is 80 weeks.
60,
Huh?
but 60.
60 weeks, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not going to happen the entire length of the eighth item. It's going to happen in that 8th item.
Okay, so in your opinion, the traffic impact assessment is correct that the 800 truckloads of fill will be generated over a 6-month period?
That's correct.
Continuous 6-month period or like spurts that will total 6 months?
It's going to be continuous. As long as there's no stops of construction.
How many weeks
any
are in
reason.
6? There's 4.3 weeks in a month, right?
I
There
usually
is.
just say
There's 4.3 weeks
but-
in a month. So
Okay.
6 months times 4.3 comes to what?
25.8.
Okay, 26 weeks. 3, 4, 9, 12. Okay, I see. All right.
Will there be a higher propensity for trucks coming to the site during the initial phases of construction when you're building? Because you obviously have to build up
Yeah, the
the
initial,
site.
the initial construction on site is going to be a contractor out there clearing the site, removing trees based within the limit of disturbance. And the first activities are going to be raising the property.
Right.
That's not going to be the only thing. Once that starts, there's going to be other things that start occurring as the fill operation is still happening.
Okay.
So, but the initial few weeks is going to be more fill operations than later in
So
that timeline.
there's a chance for a larger number of trucks to be compressed within a smaller period of time as you're raising the site.
Yeah, again, I'll defer to the traffic
Yeah,
reports. I think
exactly.
they
But
kind
I'm
of
just-
broke
I'm
down
just-
how it would operate.
I'm asking you as the
Yeah.
design engineer.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yours moved over.
Yeah, and I think the other kind of issues when, do you anticipate your, like this plan doesn't talk about dust control and enhanced tracking
That's,
pads and all
yeah,
that
that's
kind
part of the
stuff?
soil erosion sediment control permit that's already been issued by the Soil Conservation District and has to be maintained throughout construction.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
But but there are instances when it may not necessarily be soil erosion control issue when you're bringing fill in sometimes.
Yes, it
right?
is.
Okay.
Yes, it
all right.
is. It's all under their, part of their
Okay.
purview on that.
All
And
right.
not only that, but I'm sure during the pre-construction meetings, if there's any concerns with regard to fencing, dust control, all of that, it only behooves everybody for this to be a smooth transition at that point in time. So that certainly is not
Yeah.
any concern from the applicant's perspective.
Yeah. At that point in time too, there could be conditions that would prohibit trucks going out of the site, making the right on Voorhees Corner Road, going down to
Of
Old
the other
York.
construction, maybe,
Huh?
the other construction? What conditions? I'm just trying to figure out. So
Yeah, as a condition, I think we really want to not have trucks going down past, down Voorhees Corner, past the school, making the right, which we all know is the bypass, that they all bypass 202 traffic lights
So
by doing that.
we would take this traffic circulation or the truck traffic plan that was submitted. That would be another thing that, again, just to put it on the record. So this would be another thing that we'll take, assuming that the board acts favorably and this project moves forward. This would be another document that we would bring to the pre-construction meeting, make sure everybody has a copy of it and says, this is the way we're going to do it. If we see trucks going not this way, everybody's going to stop. We're going to come back here. We're all going to talk again. So it'd be one of those things again, where it'd be a condition of not necessarily approval, but a condition of construction that.
Yeah, it'll be a condition of approval also.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So that kind of brings up the idea that I hope there'll be no trucks going up Route 31 North, coming up and down Route 31 North, like toward the hospital and past the high school. I'm glad to see that that's not a route in your hall plan, but is there a way to condition the approval that it doesn't become a route?
Well, if the condition is that the trucks with fill shall comply with the construction site logistics package, and it's not in here, they can't do it. I just wrote that down as a condition, just in the event the board ends up approving this.
Okay. All right, I have a question. I just want it on the record. I talked to Jay before we started the meeting. My concern, and I just want to get your thoughts, coming off the property and attempting to make a left at the light. Okay, we have the circle where we now have the 3 lanes going into 2 lanes. And now we're going to be making right out of this property and people could go left. And so I just want to make sure that there was assessment, consideration, that there is no issue, that it's safe, and that what you have planned is acceptable. And Jay, first Kelly, I assume your team has looked at that.
We've looked at it and it's a state highway, so ultimately the design of the driveway opening has to meet the DOT requirements, which I'll defer to the traffic engineer on the status of the DOT permits and everything. But my understanding is they've reviewed the design of the driveway and are in favor of how it's designed, and they believe it meets their requirements.
Okay.
I think you're talking about the left turn on Church and then the left at 31.
Yeah, what we looked at was, do you have adequate linear feet for somebody to move out of that driveway and safely make a lane change so that they can get into the left turning facility at Voorhees Corner Road? And I did actually map that out with the distances. I located where the driveway is going to be on an existing conditions plan and checked the distances. And there is adequate transition area for a truck to safely make the maneuvers to make that lane. It's not too close to where the driveway is going to be.
Okay. And the other thing I just want to,
Before you move on, can I just ask, did you do that during rush hour? Because that area gets really congested, speaking from in a non-professional but local perspective.
Yeah.
That's not,
Talking about the trucks with fill or construction?
no, we're not talking about construction. We're talking about when the site is operational and cars are coming out of there, okay, on a regular basis, and they want to make the left turn at Church.
oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And
I'm not worried about Church on the 31 because that's a lot easier. There's less traffic. It's getting into the left turn lane from Church onto 31 is no big deal. But getting onto 202 and then getting over into those left turn lanes onto Church Street in that short span. I understand you're saying that there's ample room, but with heavy traffic, that makes it a lot more difficult. And especially with the slow moving truck with,
Right.
cars speeding by, everybody desperate to get home
Yeah.
or to work.
And it becomes a question of, is there adequate distance between the driveway location and that left turn lane? Given the gaps that are available on northbound 202 for that to be safely made. And to me, the key is you don't want this driveway too close to that left turn lane. So that's why I kind of studied that weave that would be taking place and whether there's adequate people. We can hear from their traffic expert as well.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is the safe gap time to make a left out of the site? I've heard all kind of conflicting stuff from 3 seconds to 7 seconds. In your opinion, I know it depends on speed limit, but in here, what is the safe gap to make a left out of the traffic?
Well,
Who's making a right in the traffic, but immediately going to left.
it's a right turn gap. And for a heavier vehicle, let me get the exact number out of the manual, but.
Okay.
Well, that's going to be a question that's going to be asked to your traffic expert in any event. And Jay's going to check him on it. Is that in, do they have that in their traffic report?
No.
No. So
Okay.
you might as well tell him to put the exact information. You understand what I'm asking about? Harry, you understand?
Yep, I got it.
All right. And the last question I have is, I'm sorry, Randy, did you?
Go ahead, I'll answer after you.
Okay. The last question I have is, Jay, in your report, you're doing estimates for lots 30 and 31.01. And where are we getting the numbers from? Where are we, I mean, and are we saying we're going to approve this? If we were to approve this application and then 3101 comes in and these numbers are way off, are we going to deny that application because now the traffic is not acceptable? I mean,
So the numbers in my report are based on the business park plan for lot 31.01.
Okay.
So we have those numbers from that.
Hold on for 1 second. If 31.01 comes in with a permitted use, the only thing the planning board is allowed to consider is safe traffic circulation and safe ingress and egress. You're not allowed to consider off-site. Only if they're coming in with a prohibited use is the Board of Adjustment allowed as part of the negative criterion to consider off-site traffic impact. So my question is, what does that business park use mean? Where did you get that from for 3101?
That was from the latest site plan that they had on that site that was in our file.
Okay, but is that a permitted business? Carrie, you represent them. Is that a permitted business park use, or what? You had an application here for what was the prohibited use you were here on that?
We were here for a number of different uses and then went to apply for a wholesale use, which was the latest application, but that has since been removed from your ordinance
No,
as a
okay.
permitted use.
So
So it
where
was
is this,
wholesale.
what is business park and where did it come from? What is the current proposed use on 3101? If you get your application complete, which is incomplete in front of the planning board, is my understanding. If you get it complete, what is the proposed use on 3101?
I think that's I don't have an answer for you. And
Okay, so Jay, where did you get this business park use?
So that was from a trip generation analysis.
No, I understand that, but the trip, you went to the manual, you said business park. It had those numbers. What I'm saying is, what are the permitted uses?
Flex space? Was it flex space?
No.
that was the original. That was the original application.
I
That was
understand.
before.
I just, the question is being asked, does this traffic report consider the development of the other lot?
Yes.
What I want to, on the chart, it considers a use on the other lot, but I want to see what is the permitted use on that other lot that would generate the most amount of traffic. That, in my opinion, is what should be in the chart. I don't know what a business park is. Can you, Jeff, get out the ordinance? Look, this is the B2 zone, correct?
Yes.
Can you look up some B2 zone uses? Give them to Jay. Let's pick, in my opinion, Jay should pick the permitted B2 zone use that the ITE 11th edition of the trip generation manual says would generate the most number of trips, and that's what should be used in the chart.
So we'll hear back on that at the next meeting.
Yeah, but I want,
Oh, okay.
I want to.
Yeah.
So there's
So the
retail.
whole- Let's not get yelled at here.
So this is section 296-114. B, under principal permitted uses, multiple principal uses and structures are permitted as follows and subject to the standards set forth herein. 1, retail and retail service uses, excluding recreational facilities with loudspeakers and concessions unless the entire facility is located within the building, and excluding those listed under subsection D, which are conditionally permitted. 2, business and professional offices. 3, hotels and motels. 4, animal hospital and commercial kennels. 5, commercial greenhouses. 6, funeral homes, clubs, lodges, and fraternal organizations. 7, self-storage. 8, childcare center.
I'm thinking retail will probably generate the most traffic. I think you should plug in retail. Business park. Business park, I'm thinking is office. Take judicial notice. There's really no market for new offices, office buildings. So you should go with retail, plug it in, and see what it comes up with. But to answer your question, I think that's all he can do.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you.
And any planning board application for that lot would need to have the numbers replaced. If these numbers are not correct, they would need to take the auto dealership as the no build and add in whatever their development is, and we could evaluate the site access as a planning board application.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not, right, but not off-site improvements, correct.
Okay, Randy, you had a question?
Yeah, under construction, whatever.
Randy, microphone.
I always do this. Under construction, if it does start, what time in the morning will the trucks be?
8.
That's based off of the township ordinance. I don't know off the top of my head if it's 7 or
So-
8 o'clock.
So
Typically, it's
let's say 7 or 8. You mean at 7 or 8? I don't know if you've ever been in this area, but it's jamming. So you're gonna have these trucks coming in at 7 or 8 o'clock. That's gonna be a problem.
Are you talking about construction trucks or trucks
Yes.
with fill? No, because the trucks with fill is covered in the report and in Jay's report, and Jay says that the applicant will agree to a condition that the fill trucks will be outside the roadway peak hours.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have, so they will accept the condition having the fill trucks not be during peak hours.
So there's no other, no other trucks are gonna be,
Well, construction trucks, you'd have to talk about that, but
Okay.
that's what was in their traffic report.
Okay, I know it's getting late. Are we good? So let's talk about dates.
Yeah.
Do you want us to go through the remaining items? I don't know if there are any, but we could just look real quick if there's any that we're not going
Let's
to
not rush.
It's already at the
satisfy,
time.
or you want us to hold that for the next one?
Hold it for the next one.
Okay.
Okay, what do we got? Good, Kelly. Good try.
A for effort.
Taylor, what's available?
The next available date is October 2nd or October 16th.
Okay, so October 2nd or October 16th, just so you know, they extended the time for the board to decide the application until September 30th. So I'm gonna ask that they extend the time to November 30th. Actually, I'm gonna ask that they extend it to December 31, but let's be realistic here. There's no way that how many more witnesses do you have? Kelly's got to come back with.
It took me 3 and I'm done.
I know, Kelly's got to come back with cleanup. You got the traffic expert and
Jim
you have your
Kyle.
architect, which hopefully won't take too long. And then you have Jim Kyle batting cleanup. So so I'm going to ask for an extension till December 31st, 2025, which I think is totally reasonable under the circumstances. You agree?
Sure.
Okay, so do you want October 2 or October 16?
I won't be here the 16th. So for purposes of extending the hearing and adjourning to a date certain, we'll take October 2nd.
Okay, so this hearing is going to be continued to October 2nd with no need for further notice. Can they be the only thing on that agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And can we see if we can create a special meeting upon new notice, or is that not something that?
that's up to the board.
If you would like to discuss now, I do it now. And then if not, please just send me a correspondence and then I will send it out to the board.
It's up to you. I'm
Thank-
happy to request it in writing and then you guys can,
Let's request it more.
can figure it out. But that, just so you, that would be something we'd really love to make
Okay.
happen if possible.
All right,
Okay,
all right, anything else? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second? All in favor?
All right.
Anyone else want to stick